How about that Preakness?
What a race. I was at, just so you know, I was at a gymnastics banquet that lasted from 4:30 until about 8:30. And the kicker was, I said to my wife 2 weeks ago, hey, we got the gymnastics banquet. I went, do I have to go? And she said, because I was going to fly and see Jacob last weekend for his birthday and surprise him. Well, we got the gymnastics banquet. I already bought you a ticket. So $70 for the gymnastics banquet for an adult, for chicken marsala and some sort of pork dish. Shoot me now. There was a cash bar, so on top of the $70, it was another $100 basically for drinks for the night. I did tell the bartender, David, I walked up, he goes, because the first drink I got, he grabbed a wine glass and he went to start pouring the wine, and the glass was broken. Like there was a chunk of glass out of it. He's like, whoops, might need a new glass. He says, can I get you anything? I says, can you find that broken wine glass and slit my throat in order so I don't have to stay here any longer?
Nice.
He just started laughing at me. I'm like, good God, man. Wow. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about selling alcohol at children's competitions. I really don't. Like Paradise for soccer has it. It's great for the parents, but I always worry about the one dad who's going to have too many beers and start attacking a referee now. Hey, here we go.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floormeister Studios. Floormeisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you on this Monday. We hope you had a great weekend. As always, thanks for starting things off with us. How the heck are you, Miller and Moulton? MillerandMoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Top of the morning to you, Mark. How was your weekend?
My weekend was good. You know, just busy these days with lots going on. The daughter's finishing up the school year, and some of her extracurriculars are always part of our lives. But all in all, pretty good weekend. An unbelievable Preakness on Saturday. And largely, I hate to say it, I mean, I'm really happy for the Florida Panthers. It's more fun for us if a team that's somewhat local advances in the postseason. But an anticlimactic Sunday of what I thought was going to be a great Sunday. 2 Game 7s and the PGA. And we got, 45 minutes to an hour in the PGA. We got the first period in the hockey game and the first quarter and a half in the hoop game. And that was about it. It didn't have the drama that I was hoping for yesterday. I was hoping for a great Sunday. It was a good Sunday. Scotty Scheffler kind of let us know on Saturday that more than likely it would just be a good Sunday in golf. But after Game 6 in the hockey was so fantastic, it was close, nail-biting type game, the Panthers just were dominant in the second period and said, we're not going to let this game be close.
Yeah, it's amazing for how much things change. In some cases, they also stay the same. And the Toronto Maple Leafs now as an organization have to answer, are we getting closer or are we just spinning our wheels? But we have plenty of time for that. We're down to the Final Four for both hockey and hoops. Another major has come and gone. How about the winners of the majors here in the last few majors? Nothing but the big boys. Nothing but the big boys putting the trophies up on the mantle and what have you. So first timers, no need to apply. And you're right. I thought Scheffler won the PGA with the final 5 holes on Saturday because, you know, Rahm was 5 back and DeChambeau was 6 back. I mean, you couldn't have really had any faith in any of the other guys who were 3, 4, and 5 and 6 back that they were seriously going to contend. I mean, those were the two, and Scheffler just created so much distance that you thought to yourself, man, he goes out and shoots par tomorrow. He's going to win this thing.
Right. Alex Noren is not going to catch
No.
Scotty Scheffler on Sunday when he's down 3 to start.
No. Matthew Pavon wasn't going to do it either. Johnny Vegas wasn't going to do it. So, you know, it was Rahm or DeChambeau, and on a course that was getting so much harder as time went by, it was going to be so much more difficult to post that 64, 65, 66 to make that big Sunday run. And it turns out, you know, nobody had it in them who was close to the leaders anyway. But a great Preakness. My goodness, controversy with Indy 500 qualifying. I mean, there was a historic upset in college softball. I mean, there was great sports that went on. It wasn't necessarily the 2 Game 7s in the final round of the PGA, though.
The Preakness, for those of you that enjoy horse racing, one, hopefully Sovereignty will run the Belmont and journalism will run the Belmont, and we'll get an opportunity to see the 2 winners go after one another at 1.5 miles. But horse people, this isn't Miller, and I've not even really asked David about it, but horse people are putting it at a bare minimum in the top 10 horse races or Triple Crown races that they've ever seen. Many are putting it in the top 5. You lead with the Belmont and Secretariat. Then you figure out where 2 through 10 lie. But most feel that the Preakness on Saturday would get into that threshold of being a top 10 race. And it was amazing. One that horses and jockeys didn't fall, like horses didn't fall and jockeys didn't fall down. Very rarely do you see a jockey throw an elbow, David.
Well, Mark, it's one thing for there to be contact between horses. It's something entirely different for there to be contact between horses and jockeys. Wow. I mean, I had a lighthearted moment with myself watching the replay of the Preakness going, man, I didn't realize a hockey series broke out during this race.
Well, I didn't know Rubbin was racing started with the horses, David.
Right. Good point. Man, seriously, the Preakness had as much contact as North Wilkesboro did last night. Damn. And I'm trying to figure out, is that one of the all-time great moves by a jockey and gutsy? Or is that one of the dumbest things that's ever been done on a horse? And he is lucky as blank and he should be taken off the damn ride. He's an idiot.
And it's funny, Pat Forty, who most of you know from covering college sports, is a Louisville native and loves the horse gate. One of his posts Saturday night, Sunday morning, whenever I read it, basically said what you just said. As he talked to horse people, and he goes, this isn't me, talked to several horse people who are in complete disagreement with whether it was a great ride by the jockey or the worst ride in the history of horse racing.
So,
but for journalism to be able to take all of that contact, be down as far as he was down coming through the contact, and then rally to win the race, incredible stuff. Incredible stuff. Really, really good, man. That was something.
So there were some highlights this weekend. There really were.
And David, you and I have talked about Tony Gwynn. And I happened to see another video of John Smoltz talking about, Maddox, Martinez, Smoltz, and I want to say Glavin struck out Gwynn like 4 times in their career.
Right.
And it's just one of those things that John Smoltz even he's like, how? We were pretty good.
Yes. Yeah. There's about 1,000 wins. Okay.
Right.
In fact, there's more than that.
And there's
Between the
probably
four
about
of them.
5,000 strikeouts between that group as well. And they got him like 4 times. So obviously Gwynn owned them. But David, if he wanted to buy any piece of Toronto right now, he should have it gifted to him, because Brad Marchand is now 5-0 in game 7s against the Toronto Maple Leafs, and he was spectacular last night. He wasn't good. He wasn't great. Brad Marchand, again, with everything on the line, was spectacular. He's 37 years old. He may have been the best player on the ice last night.
Yeah. And if it wasn't him, it was the other guy who was acquired at the deadline for the Panthers. All right. Last night was a Bill Zito game. And for those of you who don't know, it's the general manager of the Florida Panthers, because the two best players on the ice were defenseman Seth Jones and forward Brad Marchand. And they were not Florida Panthers with 12 hours to go in the trade deadline. And he gave up a first-round pick for Seth Jones and a goalie who was number 3 on their depth chart. And he gave up a third-round pick, which could become a second-round pick for Marchand. And they won game 7 last night, and we'll see how much further it goes.
And it's because of those two. You're right. Jones was fantastic in the game. The little play he made to push the puck across the line, not go across the blue line, for that to be onside for the goal, is as heady as it gets going full speed.
And it is so funny, and I know many of you are not puck heads, and you're like, who are you guys talking about? You know Marchand, you may not know Seth Jones. Seth Jones also was one of those big, talented guys who played on losers. And so how good is he? Is he a disappointment, actually? Is he an underachiever? And he finally gets a chance to play on a good team. And no, actually, he's one of those big, talented guys who's one of the best guys on the ice. He had just been stuck in bad situations. And how many of those players are there in football, basketball, baseball, and hockey who play 5, 7, 8, 10 years? And finally, when they get on a good team, it's like, holy blank, they're really good. Yeah, no kidding.
Unbelievable game for Jones. Unbelievable game for Marchand. Bobrovsky was big when he had to be, as Florida dominated for 10 minutes. Shots attempted 10 minutes into the game were 20-0. And then Toronto flipped the ice and had a couple of breakaways and a point-blank chance and couldn't get a couple of the breakaways on net. Bobrovsky was there when he had to be.
So after the Lightning go to 3 straight Stanley Cup finals, now the Florida Panthers have gone to 2 straight Stanley Cup finals and 3 straight Eastern Conference finals. The road to the Stanley Cup finals, ladies and gentlemen, as we all knew growing up, goes through Florida. Not that times have changed or anything.
And boy, are you ever right about Bill Zito, the GM of the Florida Panthers. What a job he did at the deadline and the days before to get Jones and Marchand. And Florida now will take on Carolina. They will be heavy favorites in this series.
But Mark's got a feeling.
I think Florida will win. We got plenty of time to get that. I just don't think it will be as easy as you do.
I don't think it'll be easy. I also think the series right on top of one another. I think Carolina will win a game by scheduling, but we'll see. But the hockey and the hoops are down to the Final Four, and they are fascinating Final Fours at that. Scotty Scheffler's now won his 3rd major by the age of 28. How many will he stockpile? And the more he wins, does it make him more entertaining, or does it just point out just how boring he is? And does it matter? Miller and Moulton. We've got a cheating scandal in racing. We've got what some think is a cheating scandal in golf. I don't think that's the case. We'll explain in a bit. Thanks for waking up with us, Miller and Moulton.
Southwest Florida's scorching heat is on its way. Stay cool with Air Advantage. As a proud Rheem Pro partner, Air Advantage delivers top-notch air conditioning solutions to keep you cool and comfortable. Right now, enjoy 18 months, no interest, no payments on qualifying systems. Call 433-4635 today for expert installation and unbeatable comfort all summer long. Online at myairadvantage.com. Air Advantage. Call today, 433-4635.
With summer approaching, time to take care of your own house. So stop into the Floor Meisters and see their huge in-stock selection of carpet. The Floor Meisters has 100 rolls to choose from, starting at $2.99 a square foot for carpet, pad, and installation. Come in and ask for Dave and have him show you the Dream Weaver Select. Many styles and colors to choose from to fit everyone's taste. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard in Naples, right next to Costco, or go to the web, floormeisters.com.
For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to NolanAgency.com. That's 941-639-1122 or NolanAgency.com. American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs and has been for 30 years. American Paint Supplies is also your #1 Festool dealer in Southwest Florida. If you are a builder, cabinet maker, painter, or power tool enthusiast, Festool craftsmanship can be found at American Paint Supplies. Celebrating 30 years of service, and Festool is celebrating 100 years of excellence. Come to American Paint Supply for a perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street, Naples, off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Ambien, all the best to your dad. Adam, is this a random Publix worker who you seek out every year as to how the Jags are going to do, or is this just somehow, some way you think a random Publix worker has put the kiss of death on the Jags? Because, I mean, I could argue they've done that to themselves. Hmm. So, go Raiders, you like the Travis Hunter move? Okay.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for starting your week off with us. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. So, Mark, when you guys do your member guests and your club championship and what have you, anybody testing out equipment?
No,
I
there's
know.
no testing of equipment.
Well, listen, I know how seriously these, club championships and member guests are. And I'm not, tongue in cheek here. I know
your voice is sounding quite sarcastic, as if
Well-
you're laying it on pretty thick and basically,
No.
taking a shot right at something that's near and dear to my heart.
No. First off, I think you care the proper amount. I really do. Okay, right on the top edge of the proper amount, but the proper amount. It's important to you. Everybody in your life knows it. Okay, who your guest is a bit of an honor. Okay, if you get asked to be your guest, okay, and it's something that you enjoy, it's like, you get like 2 vacations. One is for yourself, it's the member guest, and then you do a summer vacation with your family. I know how important it is. I used to caddy in these club championships. Trust me, I know how important, how serious they are taken. Believe me, I know. I've seen friendships ended over handicap arguments and what flight you ultimately ended up in, you sandbagging blank of blank. Okay, so that's all. I think I understand that. I mean, please, I know the cheating that goes on for the random, just we're giving away free T-shirts, a radio show's golf tournament and the cheating that goes on. So I'm just wondering whether or not you've ever been a part of any club testing. So at the PGA, they were testing out equipment this week before the tournament. The USGA was invited in by the PGA of America And it's like, why don't you test drivers? Now, Mark, here's the funny thing. Do they test everybody's driver? No. They test like 40 to 50 of them. So
Right.
it's random. So also showing the secrecy of golf. Rory's driver was deemed illegal late on Wednesday. We didn't find out about this till sometime on Friday. So Rory had to go. Now, I mean, these guys at the club manufacturers right there, they literally could say, hey, Tommy, yeah, I need a new driver. I don't know. They said something's wrong with mine. Oh, okay. And the guy's got a truck full of them. But, you haven't had a chance to break it in and your grips and all that. So anyway, so Rory had a new driver. He then goes out on Thursday, and one of the greatest drivers in the history of the sport couldn't put the ball in the fairway with a subpoena. So everybody's going, illegal driver. This was the one he used to win the Masters. Oh. And Mark, I got to be honest, why Rory didn't talk about it at all weekend. Rory did no media after any of his 4 rounds.
Well, Rory typically likes to do media when he plays well, David. When things aren't going his way, he usually does, but come on, none of them are as gracious with their time when things are going badly, and they're allowed to do that.
And I agree completely. However, Rory had to know that people were whispering, and every day they were whispering louder about the whole non-conforming driver. And I think if you were a friend of Rory's, you'd go, listen, don't take any questions. Literally go in and say, hey, I know what you guys want to ask me. All right, let me tell you the deal. 2 minutes, your side of the story, and leave. Okay? Because as it turned out, Mark, guess whose driver on the eve of the PGA was also confiscated and told it was illegal / non-conforming.
Let me guess. How about Scotty Scheffler?
Bingo.
Yep.
Now, word didn't get out about that until Scheffler won, and Scheffler offered it up. And then Scheffler went on to say, I got to be honest, I thought it was going to be taken out of circulation sooner. I had that driver and been using it over a year. That's a long time. Think about how many balls I've hit with that driver. He goes, and then he starts explaining that, the head, and it starts getting thinner. Okay. But because it gets thinner, it actually gets a little springier. Okay. And that's why we love the broken in clubs. We love the broken in driver. And so it turns out on the eve of the tournament, they took it away from me. And somebody said, well, is that the reason and he goes, no, it had nothing to do with me playing bad on the front 9 on Sunday or not hitting fairways. He goes, in one of the rounds this week, I hit 13 of 14 fairways. He goes, no, it has nothing to do with it. He said it was my swing. He goes, and then Scheffler went on to talk about how, listen, I think we should be tested more, but also everybody should be tested. He goes, you can't just do 40 or 50 of us. He goes, if you're going to do this, you got to do the field, man.
And how much harder would it be? Basically, it'd be twice the work, a little more than twice the work. They're testing 50. You're going to have to test 130 or 140 or whatever, maybe 3 times the work. But they don't tell you the results of the testing. They just tell you whether it conforms or doesn't conform.
Right.
And just to correct you a little bit, David, all they're doing is changing the heads. They can keep the shaft. They can keep the grip.
That's
They're
true.
not breaking in a bunch of new stuff. So
That's true.
I want you to at least, I wanted to explain correctly.
That's true.
Like what David said. Rory plays a TaylorMade. Hey, TaylorMade guy, get me a new club head in here.
Yeah.
They attach it to the shaft and they're good to go. The way they change clubs now is unbelievably quickly.
Right. That's true.
But Rory, his driver didn't conform. Rory didn't hit his driver worth a damn. Rory didn't play worth a damn. And we have no idea why Rory didn't play worth a damn other than what we can talk about and what we saw, because Rory didn't speak to the media once. But when he needs the media, he'll speak to the media.
But I'm surprised he didn't speak to the media about this whole driver, because the other thing is, was it non-conforming or is it illegal? How do you want to phrase this? Okay. Ooh, all right. This was the same driver he used at the Masters. Did he win the Masters with an illegal club? Okay. I mean, you want to nip all that in the bud. You just want to come out and you go, I don't know what they told me. I got tested here. They said it was fine. I got tested here. They said I couldn't do it anymore. Okay. And then he says what Mark said. I went to, my TaylorMade guy, and I said, you got to put a new head on this. Okay. I don't know. They said something's wrong. It's not conforming. I need a driver tomorrow. Fix it. But so anyway, I mean, was he cheating? Did he win the Masters at long last with an illegal club?
Stop.
Goodness sakes.
Stop.
I know, but that's why, Rory should have just, a minute and a half. You walk in, you go, guys, I got to answer one thing. Okay, two things. First off, for some reason, I'm not playing well. I don't know why. I love this course. It's me. There's no other excuse. I'm just not playing well. Secondly, about my driver. And then you just go, and listen, thanks. Go talk to the people who are going to win this thing. That's not me. I'll see you at the Open.
I think it's also obvious that Scotty Scheffler doesn't watch a lot of golf on television, because he should have known when hoisting the Wanamaker Trophy that the top's not attached. All you had to do is see Colin Morikawa, what was it, 5 years ago, when Morikawa hoisted the trophy and the top of the trophy went flying again. Scheffler hoisted the trophy. The top of the trophy went flying. Made for a lighthearted moment. Miller and Moulton, the starting fives next.
Defining a new era in men's health. Get stronger and healthier at Game Day Men's Health. With our in-house laboratory, get in, get treated, and get back to your passion and purpose. Call 239-427-3441 for our Bonita Springs or Naples location to set up your free testosterone test and consultation. Mention Miller Moulton Radio Show for a 10% discount on your service. Start living your best with Game Day Men's Health, Bonita Springs and Naples. Call 239-427-3441 today.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine, no more snoring, no more tossing, no more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
Wine glasses never fall over until you get a brand new rug.
Oh, no!
Ketchup bottles act normal till you're wearing a new shirt.
Oh, you kidding me?
And rocks slide peacefully on the road till the day you get a brand new windshield. Then they fly up off the road and attack without mercy. That's why new windshields from Glass Doctor come with our windshield protection plan. Unlimited repairs and one replacement for 12 months. Don't just fix it, protect it. Glass Doctor. A neighborly company.
With summer approaching, time to take care of your own house. So stop into the Floor Meisters and see their huge in-stock selection of carpet. The Floor Meisters has 100 rolls to choose from, starting at $2.99 a square foot for carpet, pad, and installation. Come in and ask for Dave and have him show you the Dream Weaver Select. Many styles and colors to choose from to fit everyone's taste. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard in Naples, right next to Costco, or go to the web, floormeisters.com.
This is Miller and Moulton. Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
22 minutes until the top of the hour. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. 1 hour from now, we'll talk Major League Baseball with David Laurila. Top of the 8 a.m. Eastern hour, look back at the PGA, look ahead in the golf world with Whit Watson. And 2 hours from now, we'll look back at the Panthers. Still very much alive, thank you very much, with another Game 7 win on the road. Armando Velez, who covers the Panthers, will join us. We need a poll question. We'll talk about it coming up, but right now it's time for
The Starting Five. 5 big stories you need to know. Here is the Starting Five.
Well, let's start with Scotty Scheffler in the PGA. He took a 3-shot lead into Sunday. He wasn't playing very well. In fact, he was a little lucky to still be tied for the lead at the turn. His only birdie on the front 9 was a ball he hit deep into the woods and got a tremendous break on. Anyway, he's tied with Jon Rahm, and then Scotty Scheffler figured it out walking from the 9th green to the 10th tee and played 8 outstanding holes in a row, while Jon Rahm couldn't get it done. 14 and 15 were 2 easy holes. You got to make birdie on them. Rahm didn't. Then the last 3 holes were the 3 toughest holes on the course, and Rahm finished bogey double-double. Scotty Scheffler won his 3rd major championship, and he ended up winning by 5 over DeChambeau, Harris English, and Davis Riley. Rahm dropped all the way to T8.
Yeah, I think when Rahm didn't make a birdie on 14 or 15, mentally, he kind of checked out. I mean, he knew that was his time. He knew he had to press him there, and when he didn't, he knew the tournament was over for him.
And definitely the bogey on 16. And then he forces the issue on the par 3 17th and overcooks it into the water. And yeah. So Scotty Scheffler wins the PGA after Rory won the Masters. I don't know. Ryder Cup. We got Rahm coming back into form. DeChambeau with another top finish in a major. He'll try to defend his U.S. Open title in a month. Golf's got to feel pretty good about itself right now. Hockey. Florida Panthers were outstanding. It was described as men versus boys when it was done. Panthers dominated the hockey game. 3 in the second, 3 in the third. They put Toronto not out of their misery, sent them into more misery. 6-1 to win Game 7. Seth Jones with a goal and an assist. Brad Marchand with a goal and 2 assists. Neither one of them were Florida Panthers until the trade deadline. Florida and Carolina in the Eastern Conference Final. It begins tomorrow night. By a point, Carolina with home ice in the series. TNT will have the Panthers series. ESPN has the Western Conference Final rematch from a year ago when Edmonton beat Dallas in 6. Well, they'll get their crack will the Stars. This is their 3rd straight conference final, by the way. They've yet to advance during this little run to the finals. ESPN will have the Western Conference Finals in hockey. They'll also have it in hoops.
Which I think we should all, and a moment of silence on radio is not a good thing, but I think we should all just take a pause and be thankful that ESPN has the Western Conference in basketball. Because that means Stephen A. can't be a cheerleader every game for the New York Knicks.
Right. And I'm a Knicks fan, and I'm thrilled that he won't be at any of the games. OKC, however, will be on ESPN for the next couple of weeks. They won Game 7 against Denver, 125-93. Denver had the lead after the first quarter. It was a 1-point game with 3 minutes to go in the first half. Thunder hit their last 7 shots of the first half to lead by 14 and then scored the first 9 points of the second half. So this baby was over about a minute 30 into the third quarter. Thunder shot 49%, outscored the Nuggets by 30 in the second and third quarters combined. SGA with 35. Thunder T-Wolves. The 1 versus the 6. Tuesday night, ESPN. Wednesday night, why do the Knicks and Pacers have to wait till Wednesday? But they are. TNT, Reggie Miller, TNT's last ever playoff series in the NBA. And Reggie Miller will get to call his Pacers in the Eastern Conference Finals beginning Wednesday night. Baseball, big interleague weekend. Marlins took 2 of 3 from the Rays, 5-1. Miami won yesterday. The series was in Miami. Yankees took 2 of 3 from the Mets, won 8-2 yesterday. They scored 6 in the 8th after a big Pete Alonso error broke a 2-2 tie. Phillies swept the Pirates 1-0. Skeens goes 8 innings, gives up a run on 3 hits, and loses again because Mick Abel makes his major league debut for the Phillies and throws 6 scoreless innings.
Well, he'd been pitching against better competition in the minors before he got up to play against the Pirates.
I see what you did there. Okay. You're not wrong, by the way. You're not wrong. Orioles fired their manager, which we had been strongly hinting was going to happen. Before their series against the Nats got underway, yeah, they still got swept. 10-4, the final, Washington beating Baltimore yesterday.
Man, if you're an Orioles fan, you've got to be just so freaked out. You thought you'd built this great team. They did everything right. They went and got a pitcher. And you could argue they may have needed more in the offseason, but they're not supposed to be where they are right now. They're 2 games ahead of the Chicago White Sox in the standings.
2 years ago, they won 101 games. Last year, they won 91. Got swept from the playoffs both years, and now you wonder the future of the Orioles. This wasn't supposed to happen, is what Mark's saying. 10-4 was also the final of Atlanta beating Boston. Braves took 2 out of 3 from the Red Sox. Tigers took 2 out of 3 from the Jays, beating Toronto 3-2. Do you know, on Monday, May 19th, the answer to the question of who has the best record in Major League Baseball is the Detroit Tigers at 31-16.
I thought the other interesting thing right now is because you would have all guessed that 4 of the 5 teams in the AL Central would be above 500, and 1 of the 5 teams in the AL East would be above 500.
How about that? Reds, they swept the Guardians, 3-1 the final. Since he gets back to 500, Miller and Moulton, remember, have the over on the Reds at 78.5. Milwaukee snapped the Twins' 13-game winning streak. Brewers beat Minnesota 5-2 yesterday. Royals snap a 4-game skid, edging the Cardinals 2-1. Cardinals have been playing great. Cardinals just 2 behind the Cubs, who swept the White Sox 6-2 the final. Houston with 3 in the 8th rallied to beat Texas 4-3 to split their 4-game series. Giants sweep the A's, scoring 2 in the 8th and winning 3-2. How about the Angels going across town and sweeping the Dodgers and scoring a bunch of runs to do it? Lowest scoring game of the series was last night. The Angels won 6-4. However, the Dodgers are still in first because the Padres got swept at home by Seattle. Mariners 6-1 final. And Arizona hands Colorado yet another loss, 1-0 the final. The Rockies are 8-30. Unbelievable. Phillies reliever Jose Alvarado cheating, took some performance-enhancing steroid. That's an 80-game suspension, which means he'll be back last week of August, but it also means he can't pitch in the playoffs. So the Phillies going to have to go get somebody. IndyCar. Robert Schwartzman is on the pole of the Indy 500. He's the first rookie to win the pole since Teo Fabi in 1983.
Since Fabi?
Since Fabi.
Holy cow. I remember when Fabio was a hell of a driver.
Little different guy. But I see what you did there. Kyle Larson, you know, the NASCAR stud. He wrecked 2 cars before he qualified 21st. He'll be on the outside of row 7. The Penske drivers yesterday were all disqualified from qualifying. Apparently, they filled in something on a part that wasn't supposed to be filled in. Chip Ganassi saw it on TV, called them and said, you know, and anyway, they got disqualified. So then the Ganassi cars all got parked at like midnight last night on an inspection. So got to love IndyCar. Anyway, the Penske cars, all 3 of them, they're going to make out row 4. Some people are wondering why it is they didn't have to try to qualify again if you deem that their part was illegal. Christopher Bell won the 250-lap All-Star race. They had 2 races. One was 100. The other was 250. Christopher Bell won the big one at North Wilkesboro. Joey Logano second. Ross Chastain was third. Formula One, Max Verstappen, he won the race to the first turn. And, you know, he had the lead. Race was over. That's F1 for you. The McLaren drivers, Norris and Pinto there were second and third. Lewis Hamilton was fourth. Mark, I saved this thinking of your dad. History in college softball last night.
Yep.
It had been, since they went to this whole super regional and seeding them 1 through 16, the 1 seed had never been beaten. Or at least it had been 20 years. It's one or the other. But I thought since they went to it, the 1 seed had never not advanced to the super regionals. Liberty took down Texas A&M, the number 1 team in the country, to advance to the super regionals. 12 of the 16 that advanced were the top 16 seeds, including 3rd-seeded Florida, who will host Georgia in the super regionals, and 5th-seeded Florida State, who will host Texas Tech. The 4 non-top 16 seeds were Georgia, Nebraska, Liberty, and Ole Miss. 9 of the final 16 are SEC, 3 are Big Ten, 2 ACC, 1 Big 12, and Liberty. And finally, the NFL having another set of owners meetings beginning tomorrow in Minneapolis. And apparently there's a movement underway to redo the playoff seedings. Apparently, you will not get a top 4 seed anymore just for winning your division. They want to reseed based on record. So last year, Detroit would have been the 1, but we would have had to gone to a tiebreaker between Philly and Minnesota to see who would have been the 2 and who would have been the 3. And they'll seed you 1 through 7 based on record. And then on top of that, Mark, they want to reseed after the wild card round, which is interesting in and of itself because remember, they play a Monday night wild card game. And with the way they do it now, they schedule a 4 and a 5 to play one another because the seeding's already done and everybody knows who they're playing. Now, are you telling me that we're going to have to wait till nearly midnight on that Monday night of wild card weekend to find out who's playing who and where? We'll see if it has the votes. And also, they're expected to vote on the tush push. And as of right now, Goodell doesn't have the votes to eliminate it.
You wonder if some of that reseeding talk, David, is Goodell's way to try to get his tush push votes. Give me this, I'll give you that. Because this has come out of nowhere. We had not heard a damn thing about reseeding all offseason. It was talked about for a nanosecond, and then it was dismissed. We've had Pat Kerwin on the show as long as we've been doing the damn show. Pat's like, the NFL owners are adamant. You win a division, you get a home playoff game. So why the sudden change? To me, it may be because Goodell is working behind the scenes to get the tush push out of the game. He doesn't want it. So would you be at all surprised if he were negotiating ways to get it out?
We'll learn more beginning tomorrow in Minneapolis. And at 7 minutes before the hour, that was the starting five. Five big stories, and give me liberty, at least in college softball. There.
Number one team in softball going out? I don't know what would be more of an upset, the number one team in softball going out or the number one team in women's basketball going out. I mean, that's not supposed to happen.
No, it is not. Liberty beat them twice to do it. Miller and Moulton. Thanks so much for listening.
American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs and has been for 30 years. American Paint Supplies is also your number one Festool dealer in Southwest Florida. If you are a builder, cabinet maker, painter, or power tool enthusiast, Festool craftsmanship can be found at American Paint Supplies. Celebrating 30 years of service, and Festool is celebrating 100 years of excellence. Come to American Paint Supply for a perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street, Naples, off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. Mark Miller for Molly Maid. I've been a customer for over a year and cannot say enough good things about their service and communication. If you're a business owner, you can trust Molly Maid to do an exceptional job. Their expert team delivers tailored cleaning for whatever your needs, ensuring a pristine environment for clients and staff. Visit mollymaid.com/FT-Myers or call 239-418-0052. Molly Maid makes my home shine, and it will make your home or business shine too.
With summer approaching, time to take care of your own house. So stop into the Floor Meisters and see their huge in-stock selection of carpet. The Floor Meisters has 100 rolls to choose from, starting at $2.99 a square foot for carpet, pad, and installation. Come in and ask for Dave and have him show you the Dream Weaver Select. Many styles and colors to choose from to fit everyone's taste. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard in Naples, right next to Costco, or go to the web, floormeisters.com.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine, no more snoring, no more tossing, no more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
We've got a text message for Dr. Dollar. I feel tired, sluggish, and just not myself. I'm gaining weight, my energy is low, and I've lost my drive. Could it be low testosterone?
Absolutely. Testosterone naturally declines over time, but you don't have to accept it. Low T can affect your energy, strength, mood, and focus. But here's the good news. Testosterone replacement therapy, TRT, can help restore your vitality and get you back to feeling your best. Imagine waking up strong, sharp, and energized, ready to take on the day like you used to. At Revitalize Clinic, we specialize in physician-guided, American-made TRT designed just for you.
Take control of your health today. Call Revitalize Clinic at 239-277-5770. Visit revitalizelounge.com or text Dr. Dollar directly at 239-980-2302. Feel like yourself again. Testosterone replacement therapy, because your best years aren't behind you, they're just getting started. Text Dr. Dollar now at 239-980-2302.
This is Miller and Moulton.
You're right, Amby, and I misread my own writing. I wrote 8:38 and said 8:30. Maybe I need new glasses.
We need a poll question.
We do.
Good talk.
I just don't know if there's enough interest in the NBA and NHL playoffs to have a good poll question.
Right. And I mean, I don't think,
Excuse
we
me.
were on the Golf Channel. I would say, should golfers be mandated to talk to the media after their rounds? But I don't think, Rory's a very divisive person. So he's only won 2, EB. Let's let him get to 3 before we start talking about the career slam. Love how he's halfway to a career slam. All he needs is a U.S. Open and a British Open.
What?
Really? Well, hell, he's there.
Oh, that sounds easy enough.
Right.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Hour 2 of Miller and Moulton on this Monday. Hope you had a great weekend. Thanks for starting your week off with us. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. We're working on a poll question. Kind of torn. Not sure there's enough interests in any of the basketball or hockey series to go there with a poll question. Don't know if there's enough spice to coming out of the PGA Championship in golf to go there for a poll question. So we may have to go non-sport.
You think Scotty Scheffler.
Oh, man. Boy, do you ever. Although I will say, okay, you want to approve someone's Q rating? Okay, get the infant involved. Have wife bring over, the little bundle of joy there, and that'll warm a guy up. That'll get the people on the couch going, hey, who's he? How old's he?
David, I'll tell you how much it gets people going, because it was dinner time at our house, or right before dinner time when the tournament ended. And so the whole family was down. And my wife watched the majority of the PGA with me. The daughter had no interest, but she liked Scheffler. For whatever reason, she liked Scotty Scheffler.
Huh.
Exactly.
That's fascinating, because he's got the personality of wet cardboard.
I don't know if it's the name. I don't know if that she's watched him win a lot and she just gravitated towards someone who was winning.
Right.
But she likes him. But it took my wife a good 4 minutes, 3 to 4 minutes, before she commented on Scotty Scheffler's wife's outfit, because she was so enamored with the child.
And normally it would take 30 seconds to comment on the outfit?
Correct. She couldn't figure out the whole floral bottom with the striped top. I couldn't. She goes, it's probably, all in. I'm just way behind the times. But she was commenting on the kid, and she even, as they got to the scores table, she's like, how long before he gives the kid back? Usually it's a quick hug and back to mom. And he had the kid through, 3 embraces of his dad, his agent, and whoever the hell else he was hugging there.
Totally.
And it looked as if when Scotty gave the child back to the wife, that the kid wanted nothing to do with it. The kid wanted to be with dad.
Well, he ended up bringing his son into where they signed the scorecards.
Right. That was great.
And there's a great photo of somebody getting down at the young son's eye level, and shooting young son playing on the floor while only a couple feet away, there's Dad sitting at the scorer's table signing his scorecard, and he's got a couple, like a hat and a flag to play with, and he's just occupying himself. But yeah, I mean, Dad looked at Mom and said, "Hey, you've had him for the last 6 hours. Give him to me. I miss him."
There is no doubt. And, my daughter was trying, as he's walking up 18, I was kind of yelling at Scotty. And I'm like, you've won. You've won at this point.
Right. Come on, you're up 6.
Take the hat off. Smile. Acknowledge the crowd. They're going nuts for you.
Right.
And he barely did. He did a little. And then he finally, after winning, we got to see an outpouring of emotion, which we don't normally see from Scotty Scheffler.
No, he threw the hat on the ground.
At first, he kept out.
Right. At first, he kept it together. He wins, but then he finally realized, and he slams the hat to the ground and he yells, "That's what I'm effing talking about." All right. Okay. Bring that to Bethpage, by the way. It's called the Ryder Cup. Just so you know, the Ryder Cup. Better bring that to Bethpage. The Stoic Act ain't going to work.
It'll work just fine if he wins. David, they don't care if he is a rock out there. Just beat the Euros. That's all they care about.
Got to admit, kind of getting fired up for the Ryder Cup. All right. Big boys on both sides are playing well. Let's hope they can keep it together. It's in 4 months. That's a long time in golf. You could totally lose your game in 4 months. Hell, Sergio's lost his game in 6 weeks. Very honest assessment, by the way. He was asked. He said, "Listen, the guy leading into the Masters should have been picked for the European Ryder Cup team. Now, if my friend Luke Donald wanted to pick me for the team, I'd tell him no. I'm not good enough." Okay. Appreciate it. But
you are right, though. I think, Scotty definitely got, if there were homes like mine where the dad dragged mom and child in to watch the end of the PGA, Scotty helped himself in the world of moms yesterday, if you know what I mean. I mean,
yes, he did.
Really did.
This is not the Dan Patrick Show. You certainly know that. A, it's not as good. B, it's not as profitable. C, it's on a few less affiliates. And by a few less, we mean about 250. But this is our nomination for Stat of the Day, Stat of the Day. Dun, dun. Did you see the Scotty Scheffler Carolina Panthers stat?
I did not.
So the Carolina Panthers, of course, play their home games in Charlotte. And Charlotte is where Scotty Scheffler just won the PGA. Scotty Scheffler did not win his first tournament until after the 2021 Super Bowl. In fact, it was Super Bowl Sunday when Scotty Scheffler won his first Super Bowl. So the Carolina Panthers have played 3 complete NFL seasons since Scotty Scheffler first started winning golf tournaments. Mark, Scotty Scheffler has more wins since the spring of 22 than the Carolina Panthers do. We're not even including anything he's done around the world. We're just talking PGA Tour wins. The Carolina Panthers in the last 3 years have won 14 games. Scotty Scheffler, since February of 22, has won 15 PGA tournaments.
David, I don't mean to play, and I don't think I'm going to one-up you, but I will put my own nomination in for Stat of the Day.
Okay, go for it.
And I'll go to the hockey world. Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner in 5 Game 7s against Brad Marchand between the Bruins and the Panthers have a combined 5 points. In those same games, Brad Marchand has 6.
I'm also pretty sure now, because that's the what, 7th straight game 7 that Toronto has lost? Right. And
maybe, is it 7th or 8th? Was it 7 going in?
I thought it was 6, but it
Okay.
all
All
could
right.
be. All I know is that neither Matthews nor Marner have scored a goal in any of their game 7 defeats. Mm-hmm. Listen, obviously, Miller and Moulton are not, great athletes who have never been paid professionally to play sports. So we can't really relate to this, except just imagine that sports talk radio shows had studio audiences. And people, I guess, wanted a new show on. They didn't want us anymore. And the way that we would know that is during like the final hour of our show, they would be booing every time we opened up our mics and we started talking. Mark, did you catch every time Mitch Marner touched the puck in like the final 6 minutes of the game?
Yeah.
That a chorus of boos came from the crowd?
Yeah, they made it really easy for Marner to leave as an unrestricted free agent.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. We know you're the hometown kid. Don't care. We're done with you.
Yep. The only thing that I have that's close to that, David, to bring it back locally to the golf course, I have a buddy. As people are, making their trips north, the snowbirds are leaving and saying goodbye to everybody for the spring as they head back north. He looks at him, says, bye-bye. Bye-bye. And they all know he's being serious. Can't wait for you to leave so I can get my town back. Yeah. And Toronto wants their town back without Marner in it.
Imagine that feeling. You're from Toronto. You grew up wanting to be a Maple Leaf. You score 100 points a season, but you don't get it done in the postseason. And they don't care about the season anymore. They only care about the postseason. And
7th time that this core has gone to the postseason. Just 2 second-round appearances.
And, we could go in depth on the Leafs, but I have a feeling we'd lose our audience. But, man, just imagine being that athlete. And everybody knows, by the way, you're an unrestricted free agent as soon as you get eliminated from the playoffs. And you're down, 5-0, 6-0, 6-1, whatever the score was with like 5-6 minutes left in the game. And every time you touch the puck, they start booing. Oh, man. The one thing I will say, and I'm usually not a believer in this, but it was pointed out in the post game. Man, if you're a free agent around the league, you sure you want to go to Toronto? Seriously. I mean, you better know what you're taking on here. Is it worth it? Is it worth it?
I don't know. I don't know what the comparison is, David. It would be if the Yankees went 20 years without a World Series going to play for the Yanks. It would be going to play for the Lakers with a long drought or the Celtics with the long drought. Those are the only, and certain people can handle New York. It's really the same thing. Certain people can handle the media. But in Toronto, it's a tough go. Miller and Moulton, thanks for listening. American Paint Supplies, celebrating 30 years in Naples, is proud to be the exclusive Farrow & Ball dealer in Southwest Florida. The best thing to come from the UK since the Beatles, Farrow & Ball has the colors and paints at American Paint Supplies. See why all the designers and painters choose Farrow & Ball. For 30 years, American Paint Supplies provides the perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs.
Whether you're chasing peak performance, reigniting intimacy, or simply want to feel your best, Game Day Men's Health creates customized game plans to optimize your health. Call 239-427-3441 for our Bonita Springs and Naples location to set up your free testosterone test and consultation. Mention Miller Moulton Radio Show for 10% off your service. Find your maximum self with Game Day Men's Health, Bonita Springs and Naples, Florida. Call 239-427-3441 today.
With summer approaching, time to take care of your own house. So stop into the Floor Meisters and see their huge in-stock selection of carpet. The Floor Meisters has 100 rolls to choose from, starting at $2.99 a square foot for carpet, pad, and installation. Come in and ask for Dave and have him show you the Dream Weaver Select. Many styles and colors to choose from to fit everyone's taste. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard in Naples, right next to Costco, or go to the web, floormeisters.com.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. I've been a customer for over a year and cannot say enough good things about their service and communication. If you're a business owner, you can trust Molly Maid to do an exceptional job. Their expert team delivers tailored cleaning for whatever your needs, ensuring a pristine environment for clients and staff. Visit mollymaid.com/FT-Myers or call 239-418-0052. Molly Maid makes my home shine, and it will make your home or business shine too.
This is Miller and Moulton.
You got your thing here?
I do.
Good.
This one's an easy one today. It's Shifley, right? Mark Shifley. Is that how he says his name?
I thought it was Shifley.
Shifley. See if I can get that right. Shifley.
Yinzer, TNT doesn't show the anthems anymore. Am I missing something? TNT basically throws it out to the rink after the anthems are done.
They showed both anthems last night.
They did?
Yeah. Showed both anthems.
Huh.
Toronto fans have not booed the U.S. national anthem at all in the playoffs. Not a game that I've seen. They don't say a word, and then they sing their anthem loudly. I imagine Edmonton will do the same thing.
My understanding, Comtech, is that they've outplayed them the first two games, and they're getting out goaltended. that they've outshot them like 31-13 and 32-13 and lost 1-0 and 2-1. So it's hockey. I think they gave up a shorty yesterday to lose. They had a 5-minute power play and gave up a shorty and lost.
Well, Wes, I think the energy was a little awful because the guy was winning by 600. Thought there was a little energy for 45 minutes, but I'm with you on. I think there's enough good courses to find that don't have tour spots, though, Wes.
I will say the course grew on me throughout the tournament.
Well, I like the drivable par 4. I got to admit,
Totally, and I love the 14-15 being so easy and 16 through 18 being brutal.
I'd rather 14, 15, 16 be brutal. I like seeing a birdie to win. That's just me. I don't have but I know what you're saying.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. David Laurila to talk about a big weekend that came and went in Major League Baseball. And we're in between the quarter pole and the 1/3 pole. We're at like 45 to 48 games played in Major League Baseball. David Laurila to join us coming up in a little more than 15 minutes to talk that. Whit Watson at the top of the hour to talk PGA and where golf is as we, look ahead to summer and the 2 Opens and the Ryder Cup. And a little more than an hour from now, those Florida Panthers, baby. Hey, just keep on winning. Keep on winning. Down 2-0. Having to go on the road, game 7. Who cares? Whatever. You got to deal with us. Armando Velez covers them. He'll join us a little more than an hour to talk about the Panthers trying to get back to the finals for the 3rd year in a row.
Time now, though, for the coolest thing I've seen today, brought to you by our good friends at Air Advantage. It's starting to get hot. Summer's here. You walk outside and you realize summer's here. If you're looking for a new air conditioning system, they have 18 months, no interest, no payments available. They're a Ream Pro partner. Contact them at 239-433-4635. That's 433-4635 or myairadvantage.com. And I'll stick with hockey. One of the reasons that the sport is great is the community that surrounds the sport. And Mark Scheifele, the Winnipeg Jet player whose father unexpectedly passed a day before he played in one of the biggest games of his life. And unfortunately, they'd lose that game. He scored the goal to tie it. Unfortunately, took the penalty that may have cost them the game with the trip late in the game. But it's not so much about what happened on the ice. It's about what happened after the game. If you watched the handshake line following Dallas and Winnipeg, and you just saw the raw emotion out of the opposition and players saying after the game, I was just trying to figure out what to say to him in the handshake line. Pete DeBoer, the head coach of Dallas, before he took any questions, spent 30 to 45 seconds talking about Mark and how brave he was and how proud his father must have been. Paul Maurice last night, after Florida wins at the podium, brings up the Winnipeg player and the guts that he had.
Paul Maurice, head coach of the Winnipeg Jets for 6-7 years, spent a lot of time with Mark Scheifele, all right, and his dad, okay, because a lot of hockey teams also do an annual trip during the season, which is a dad's trip. Okay, so these coaches get to know their players' dads on most every team in the league.
So I don't know if you'll ever see anything cooler than the community that hockey is and their support for this young man. I mean, we've seen this happen before. I know it's not a first. Brett Favre did it after his dad passed away, and we saw it on Monday Night Football.
Did you see what this? I believe this has now been confirmed. I saw it right before I went to bed late last night. Did you see what the owner of the Dallas Stars did? Because Dallas eliminated late Saturday night Winnipeg, Mark Scheifele's team. Well, obviously the team's going to get together and they're going to fly back to Winnipeg, but Scheifele's family, or where his dad lived, is not in Winnipeg.
It's in Kitchener, Ontario.
Right. The owner of the Dallas Stars loaned out his private plane and flew Mark Scheifele directly home to his family in Ontario after the game. They ain't doing that in other sports. They're just not. They're not.
And I was lucky enough to work in pro hockey for a lot of years, be it at the minor league level. But the community around the sport, to me, is always what separated that sport from everything else. And they proved it again over the weekend of what makes those players and that game special to those of us that love it so. So that's the coolest thing that I've seen today. Yeah, there was a tragedy involved, but damn, it brought out the best in a lot of people. And that's the coolest thing I saw today, brought to you by the folks at Air Advantage. Check them out online, myairadvantage.com.
All right, quick sidebar. It should have been a penalty shot. Can't believe it. I mean, that's literally textbook penalty shot. Scheifele, guys going in on breakaway, Scheifele trips him. 15 seconds to go in the game, by the way. Trips him, and he can't get a shot off of any kind. That is literally the textbook definition of a penalty shot. And I think if I'm the Jets, I'd rather Dallas have the penalty shot than the 2-minute power play. To start overtime with a fresh sheet of ice and minute 45 on a man advantage, okay. But anyway, the second thing is that I hate to do this to the rest of the Winnipeg Jets. Really? Really? Of all the penalties in your career, you couldn't kill that one. The guy's dad died in the morning. He's in the penalty box. You can't kill that penalty? Come on. I mean, seriously. Of all the penalty kills in your life, you couldn't kill that one?
Yeah, you mentioned it though, David. When I first started broadcasting hockey, I didn't like the abbreviated power play. You get a penalty late in the period and it carries over to the next period. I thought it ruined momentum. You know that word, David, that we don't use a whole hell of a lot on this show.
Because we don't believe in it anymore.
And players told me that they loved it. I'm like, what do you mean? Oh, man, you get us out on a clean sheet of ice where I don't have to worry about the puck hopping and bouncing on a pass. We can do damage. So to your point, or, to argue your point, only 14 seconds of that penalty was on the lousy end of period ice. And then Dallas got to whip it around on a fresh sheet. And that makes it very advantageous for the team with the puck.
No. I'm thinking if I'm Winnipeg, okay, if I'm Winnipeg, I'm like, no, please call the penalty shot.
No, I know, but you said they couldn't kill that penalty. That's as tough as for a minute 45 on a fresh sheet is as tough as it gets in that.
I know.
That's all I'm saying.
Come on, guys. Because, with Miller and Moulton, we make the decision. Are we going to stay up and watch overtime? And this could go till 2 a.m. And I'm like, yeah, I got to watch it, especially since the team that could clinch is starting on a power play. And the whole intermission, I'm going, oh, come on. They can't They can't let him score sitting in the box. Come on. His dad died this morning. Come on. They can't he can't be the GOAT, even though he had already scored. He can't be sitting in the penalty box when they're eliminated from the playoffs. Come on. Ugh. Broke my heart. Really did. Broke my heart. I felt awful.
I am curious because I don't know how many of you out there listening are Florida Panther fans. I don't think there's a lot of you. Based on, the small sample size that's in the Twitch chat room that's constantly talking, we have one true Florida Panther fan. We have far more Lightning fans. Did you get a little annoyed last night in watching an American broadcast when it seemed that all of the talk was about the Maple Leafs, even when they're getting dominated in the first period? It seemed to be pro-Leafs all night. Now, I get Bissonnette is going to do his thing, but he was rooting for the Leafs, explaining to all of you how great the Florida Panthers were. Everything else seemed to be about Toronto. And I found that interesting because now this is a team that could go to their third straight Stanley Cup final. And at some point, you would think the networks might embrace this team, but they have not yet, David.
Tim Reynolds, who is an outstanding sports writer for the Associated Press based out of Miami, did take to X last night and point out, man, this is a strange broadcast, entirely based on the team from Canada and not the defending Stanley Cup champions from the United States. David Laurila is next.
For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to nolanagency.com. That's 941-639-1122. or nolanagency.com.
Wine glasses never fall over until you get a brand new rug.
Oh no!
Ketchup bottles act normal till you're wearing a new shirt.
Oh, you kidding me?
And rocks slide peacefully on the road till the day you get a brand new windshield. Then they fly up off the road and attack without mercy. That's why new windshields from Glass Doctor come with our windshield protection plan. Unlimited repairs and one replacement for 12 months. Don't just fix it, protect it. Glass Doctor. A neighborly company.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound. American Paint Supplies, celebrating 30 years in Naples, is proud to be the exclusive Farrow & Ball dealer in Southwest Florida. The best thing to come from the UK since the Beatles, Farrow & Ball has the colors and paints at American Paint Supplies. See why all the designers and painters choose Farrow & Ball. For 30 years, American Paint Supplies provides the perfect pairing of service and expertise. On 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Irish football. I'm guessing that comment's about the Florida Panthers. You can embrace a team that cheats, but not one that plays dirty, because you're an Astros fan. So I find that statement to be interesting. No, you said I can't embrace a team that plays dirty, but you can embrace a team that cheats. I just find it to be an interesting statement. That's all. They said it was above his eye where they stitched him, Yinzer, so I think he's going to be all right. And yeah, I'd love my team to be the Florida Panthers. I would love my team to play.
Oh my goodness.
They play exactly how I want a hockey team to play. I don't think they're as dirty as everybody else does. I think they play hard and they play physical. And yeah, every once in a while they cross the line, and I'm okay with that too.
I think they got 3 guys across the line. Well, Irish, the sport requires a certain level of toughness. So, I mean,
David is on. He is tired, but he's on his second cup of coffee. So I'm getting
okay. I mean, Irish, I don't know if you're old enough, but I'm sure you had no problem with the Avs from 96 through.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
22 minutes until the top of the hour. Whit Watson will join us then. We'll look back at the PGA and look ahead to the summer in golf, which has been a tremendous season thus far. Armando Velez, who covers the Florida Panthers, still very much alive in their chase to repeat and win Lord Stanley's Cup. He'll join us 1 hour from now. But David Laurila is kind enough to join us once again. He covers baseball for Fangraphs.com, Fangraphs.com. Follow David on X, David Laurila QA, David Laurila, Laurila QA. David, it's David and Mark. Good morning. Thanks for doing this, particularly at this hour. How are you?
Hey, gentlemen. I'm doing great, except I need you guys to send some Florida weather up here to the Boston area because I took my coffee cup out to the back porch a few minutes ago and thought, is this May or is this October? It feels like October in Boston this morning.
Well, we'll do our best.
And I don't think the Red Sox will be playing in October the way they are playing, by the way. It's not a good baseball season here.
Well, it started out a little better than that. What's happened to the Red Sox and what do they do? What do they need to do to turn this around? Because we were talking earlier. I mean, I never thought at this point of the season we'd have 4 AL Central teams over 500 and only 1 AL East team over 500.
Well, the Central thing actually doesn't surprise me because we had 4 good teams last year in the Central. But yeah, the AL East is really weird. I mean, the Orioles obviously are baseball's biggest disappointment, and they fired their manager, which is understandable. It's probably not fair to Brandon Hyde because I don't think it's his fault. But I was talking in the press box yesterday at Fenway Park to a few writers, and we were talking about is it fair to start asking whether or not Alex Cora should be safe in Boston, because the Red Sox haven't had a winning season since, was it 2021? The team is, on paper, is better than they've been playing. You know, they make a lot of mistakes. They have for years. Just fundamentally, they're not sound. And at some point, you have to wonder who should be taking the blame for this and what type of changes need to be made.
Well, and I know they're unhappy with Devers, but he's also crushing the ball these last few weeks. I mean, if you're going to replace him, you don't have anybody to replace him with right now. At least that's not major league ready. How about the Tigers, though, picking up from where they finished last year? You know, that great 50-game stretch to end the year. Well, heck, David, they're 31-16 to start this year.
He's the best record in baseball, right? Better
Yep.
than the storied Dodgers, who were supposed to set records this year. No, the Tigers. I mean, I keep thinking, can they keep this up? No, but they keep keeping it up. What's crazy, though, is the great pitching people expected. You know, the good young pitching mostly, but they have. I looked the other day, and I think it's 11 players who had more than 70 plate appearances and were hitting at above league average. And this was a team that was not supposed to have anywhere near that type of offense. So is it smoke and mirrors and the fact that we're only, 40 some, maybe close to 50 games into the season, or is it real? I mean, I hope it's real because Detroit is a city that deserves a championship again in any sport because it's been quite a while.
No doubt there. No doubt there. As someone who's a Michigan native, you're preaching to the choir. But obviously, the big individual story in baseball, and they're playing great behind it, what Aaron Judge is doing. Sure, that probably can't continue all season long, but we've said that for a few weeks. He's still hitting over 400. He's leading the league in hits. He's leading the league in RBIs. He's leading the league in home runs. I mean, this is just unprecedented what he's doing.
Well, it's unprecedented in I guess, recent eras. It depends on how much stock you put in batting average. You know, the things that Bonds was doing, obviously, they were probably more impressive. Babe Ruth back in the day, you know, hitting more home runs per season than, any other team in baseball did. I think a lot of fans, when they look back at Ruth, don't realize that, just how much he dominated. But yeah, Judge is the best player in baseball. You know, I would put him up over Ohtani. I know that was an argument last year that people, were debating who is the best player in baseball. And I think more people were saying Ohtani, who is a pitcher, of course, at times. I actually read a very good article recently. I'm trying to recall who wrote it. It might be longtime scribe Barry Bloom. Argued that Ohtani is too good of a hitter to risk having him pitch again, which I think was, a fascinating idea. You know, the idea that maybe he goes back to the mound and gets hurt, and then you don't have him in the batter's box either.
Well, every division race right now is 5 games or less, but 4 of them are 2.5 games or less. Do you think that we're getting close to weeding out the haves and have-nots, or do you think we're going to have outstanding division races in a majority of the divisions throughout the year?
Well, man, I mean, I'm not a betting man. If I were a betting man, that's something that I would be hesitant to bet on because I have followed baseball long enough to know that it is really unpredictable. I will say that I hope we have great pennant races all the way through in most divisions. And realistically, I think we can. I'm thinking off the top of my head which division is maybe least likely to have that. I guess I would probably have to lean NL West with the Dodgers, who, even going into the season, I thought they were maybe a little bit overrated. But I guess I have a hard time believing that the Giants and Arizona and San Diego will all keep playing the way that they have.
What team that surprised us? I look at the Twins. They've just gone on this long winning streak. They're in pretty good shape. The Cardinals are over their skis a little bit right now. Is there a team, can the Cardinals keep on keeping on? Can the Twins keep on? Is there a team that didn't have high expectations for you that maybe you have a little bit higher expectations for now?
I think the answer actually may be the Twins. And it's funny because we started this conversation with talking about, Brandon Hyde getting let go and, should Alex Cora be on the hot seat? I think Rocco Baldelli was very much on the hot seat early this year with their slow start because, of course, they tanked right at the end of their September last year. Minnesota just fell off the cliff. And right now, I think it was 13 in a row before they lost yesterday. My expectations for the Twins coming into this year wasn't especially high, but a lot of that really wasn't so much a lack of talent as the fact that they have so many guys who keep getting hurt every year. And that has happened to a certain degree this year. However, Buxton has been able to stay on the field and produce. Correa hasn't been as good this year, but he's been mostly healthy. So I guess if this team can stay healthy, they are going to compete all the way through the season and be better than I expected.
David Laurila covers baseball for Fangraphs.com. Fangraphs.com. Follow David on X. David Laurila QA. David Laurila QA. I think, and I know the Cardinals have just gone through a nice run here. I think they've won like 12 or 14, but the Cubs, up until this weekend series with the White Sox, had played a very difficult schedule and came out of it playing nearly 600 baseball. Are the Cubs about to run away and hide with the Central?
No, I don't think the Cubs are good enough to run away and hide in the Central. Another manager thing, Craig Counsell left Milwaukee and Milwaukee stayed good and the Cubs weren't as good after Counsell went there. So I think people were starting to wonder how good of a manager is he. I think he's a great manager. So he's among the reasons that the Cubs could, hang on and win the division. Hang on, maybe a weird way to put it in May. I still like the Reds a lot. I like the Reds certainly more than St. Louis. But the Reds again I think they might be right at 500. They're another team that has maybe underachieved a little bit in recent seasons. And Milwaukee this year, I think this might be a year, that they finally slip. I think they're very similar to the Tampa Bay Rays in that for year after year, they were sort of that, hey, how are they so good team? And then they began to take a few steps backwards. And I think with payroll being a part of it, that might now be the Milwaukee Brewers.
When you look at the NL East, the Braves now have it back over 500. Phillies and Mets are at the top of the division. Just when you said the NL West, I don't think will stay that way. I'm guessing the NL East is going to stay pretty tight the rest of the way. Is there a team you like over the other out of the three?
Yes. My World Series prediction on opening day, one half of it is actually makes me sound like an idiot, which I do often, is that I actually thought that the Orioles were going to have trouble pitching, but they were going to hit so well that they would win the pennant AL. But my World Series champion pick was the Philadelphia Phillies, who I do think they're arguably the best team in baseball on paper with their pitching and their hitting. They certainly lost a key bullpen piece to, suspension now, which proves that PEDs still exist, in baseball.
Jose Alvarado got the 80-game suspension, power throwing lefty reliever. And when you get one of those, you're ineligible for the playoffs. So you figure the Phillies will have to replace him. 3 managers fired in the first half of May. Do you think that's it for a while, or is there somebody you're worried about?
I mentioned Cora earlier, but I'm not quote unquote worried about Cora because he has had success as a manager, and it's said here that he wields a lot more power in the organization than most any manager in baseball. I don't know if that's true or not, but I think he is safe. Guys, firing managers usually does not fix problems. I think it just gives teams a way of telling their fans, hey, we're trying to win, and, this is going to help, even if that's not true. So I guess I don't see any manager as a clear, he's going to go next guy.
Give me a big name that you think will be on the trade block here in the next month as team starts to separate. Who should we be looking at as guys that might be available that normally will not?
Oh, wow. Certainly not a question I could probably answer intelligently without thinking about it a lot. I am still only on my second cup of coffee.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I may punt that one. I think it's the type of question that once the phone is hung up here on my end, I'm going to think, oh, man, why didn't I say that guy? But, yeah, right now I'm drawing a blank.
David Laurila, thanks for joining us, especially since you haven't finished your second cup of coffee yet. Safe travels, and maybe you can take heart in Boston, Brad Marchand and the Florida Panthers, maybe? Warm you up? No? Trying.
Yeah, well, I am actually a Michigan native and a Red Wings fan. I'm not a big Bruins guy, and I am very much not a Brad Marchand guy. He earned his dirtiest player in the league rating that he had, several years running. Although I will say, though, that I did not watch the Subway Series game on Sunday Night Baseball last night. I did watch the Panthers and the Toronto Maple Leafs. So,
very interesting.
There you go.
The Florida Panthers, I do think are probably going to win a cup this year. They look fantastic.
Yes,
David, thanks for your time and your insight. We really appreciate it. All the best.
Okay, take care, guys.
David Laurila, fangraphs.com. David Laurila QA is how you follow him on X. How about that? He watched Leafs, Panthers, and he covers baseball for a living.
It's game 7. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you.
I'm with you. But
and he may be right on his assessment of Brad Marchand. All I know is that the puck seems to find him a lot. It is amazing how many loose puck battles he wins, how he's able to get in spots and get open constantly. And I can understand why you don't like him. But man, oh man, is he effective.
John Schneider of the Jays, by the way, if another manager is going to get fired this year, that's my prediction. All right. This is the third full year, took over interim in 22. They're underachieving again. I think at some point the GM has to save his butt. So be a little while longer, though. Miller and Moulton. Whit Watson. We look back at the PGA. We look ahead to the summer that is in golf. Next. With summer approaching, time to take care of your own house. So stop into the Floor Meisters and see their huge in-stock selection of carpet. The Floor Meisters has 100 rolls to choose from, starting at $2.99 a square foot for carpet, pad, and installation. Come in and ask for Dave and have him show you the Dream Weaver Select. Many styles and colors to choose from that fit everyone's taste. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard in Naples, right next to Costco, or go to the web, floormeisters.com.
Southwest Florida's scorching heat is on its way. Stay cool with Air Advantage. As a proud Rheem Pro partner, Air Advantage delivers top-notch air conditioning solutions to keep you cool and comfortable. Right now, enjoy 18 months, no interest, no payments on qualifying systems. Call 433-4635 today for expert installation and unbeatable comfort all summer long. online at myairadvantage.com. Air Advantage. Call today, 433-4635.
Honey, you want to come out? I haven't seen you since Glass Doctor installed our custom shower enclosure.
No thanks.
Well, you can't keep eating breakfast in the shower, and laminating your magazines is getting expensive. You remember we have guests coming over tonight, right?
Oh, I'm sure they'd love to see the shower.
It's our neighbors, and I highly doubt they want to be hanging out in our bathroom.
The shower's so good, you'll never want to leave. Visit glassdoctor.com today and schedule an appointment online.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. I've been a customer for over a year and cannot say enough good things about their service and communication. If you're a business owner, you can trust Molly Maid to do an exceptional job. Their expert team delivers tailored cleaning for whatever your needs, ensuring a pristine environment for clients and staff. Visit mollymaid.com/FT-Myers or call 239-418-0052. Molly Maid makes my home shine, and it will make your home or business shine too.
We've got a text message for Dr. Dollar. A few of my friends are taking daily Cialis or Viagra. What are the benefits and how much does it cost?
Great question. Cialis, Tadalafil, and Viagra, Sildenafil are game changer for men who want better performance, stamina, and confidence. They improve blood flow, support long-lasting performance, and help you feel like yourself again. And the best part, at Revitalize Clinic, we make it affordable. Less than $1 per pill. No overpriced prescription, no hassle, just real results, American made at the best prices in town. Plus, with early hours starting at 5:30 in the morning, we fit your schedule.
Take control of your health today. Call Revitalize Clinic at 239-277-5770. Visit revitalizelounge.com or text Dr. Dollar directly at 239-980-2302. That's 239-980-2302. Get results. Get confidence. Revitalize Clinic, because every man deserves to perform at his best without breaking the bank. Text Dr. Dollar now at 239-980-2302.
This is Miller and Moulton.
The problem, DC, is that I don't think the Hurricanes have the game to take it back at Florida. They can play defensively and slow them down, I think. And I think maybe get it to 6. But physically, what Florida does just wears on another team's defense. And I don't, the Carolina Hurricanes are as soft as baby do. They just are. They're going to get run over, but they can take it and they keep coming. And they like to play 2-1 games, so it'll be interesting.
That Seth Jones trade, by the way, my goodness. It makes you wonder. I was thinking last night, I'm thinking, well, how could there not have been 15 other teams that wouldn't have given up their first round pick for him? I mean, I know he's 29, 30, but come on, he's got 4 or 5 years left. I know he's not cheap, but that's a number 1 right side defenseman, for goodness sakes.
By the way, the Marchand trade now gives Boston a first round pick.
First, not a second.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's because they got to the conference finals.
Gotcha. Okay. So they traded away 2 1s.
Yeah.
And a third string goalie.
Yeah.
For Seth Jones and Brad Marchand.
You got that right.
Okay.
In that sport where if you're at the bottom end of the first round, it's a crapshoot.
Total. And not only that, it almost always takes forever.
Oh, yeah, they're 18. It's like baseball. It takes 4 years.
And Pius, they're not coasting. You know how many starting pitchers they have on the injured list? They just cut they just cut their backup catcher and their key utility guy, Taylor, to call up guys from AAA. Yeah, RCB prorated for when they acquired him. And you know how they did it? What's his face was out hurt. Kachuk had him on long LTIR. That's how they did it. The injury worked to their advantage.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
We are halfway home in the 239 and the 904. It is the final hour of the show in Lake City, Live Oak, and surrounding areas, or Charlotte, Venice, and surrounding areas. Miller and Moulton. MillerandMoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Whit Watson, kind enough to join us once again. Very busy man, covering golf, Golf Channel, NBC Sports Family, part of the ESPN Sports Family with PGA Tour Live on ESPN Plus. He hosts his own radio show, can be heard Saturday mornings in both Orlando and Jacksonville. Follow Whit on X at Real Whit Watson, Real Whit Watson. Whit, David and Mark, good morning. How are you?
Well, I'm excited about the future of golf. That's what I am. And I'm looking forward to the majors for the rest of the year. Now that we've got a clear number one, a clear top dog. That was a coronation we watched. And the last 45 minutes was completely without drama at the PGA Championship. And that's kind of the way it should be when you've got a player who's distinguished himself from the rest of the field. That was a lot of fun to watch yesterday.
Just curious, when Rahm hit his second on the par 5 long and was up kind of against the collar of the rough and the fringe there, and elected to putt it, in the moment, did you think he made the right choice or the wrong choice?
I think there's a million factors that we can't know or see that he has to take into account, right? Like, how confident is he in his ability to get up and down with any other club other than the putter? And what else is going on around him? And is he watching a leaderboard? And what was the lie like? And I'm reluctant to question a player's call in the moment. I probably would have used a putter, but that's me. There's so many things you have to factor in. Whatever happened on that hole, that's not what did Rahm in. What did Rahm in was the Green Mile in toto, 16, 17, and 18, finding the water twice at 17 and 18. That was the end of his day. But at that point, when Scheffler got to the 16th tee, he was leading by 6. The game was over, So at that point, it was just, how much is he going to win by?
I thought Rahm was refreshing afterwards, in which he really let his guard down. Now, I know he's done it before, but, he talked about, hey, it had been 2.5 years since I had been in a spot like that. Boy, did I miss it. Anybody tells you they're not feeling the pressure, they're just flat out lying. He was tremendous with his driver and his putter throughout the week. If you look at where Scheffler was clearly in another league than him, it's the short game around the greens and what have you. But hey, we had a John Rahm sighting for the first time in a couple years. That's kind of nice.
Because he's not really been in that cauldron. Bryson DeChambeau, who plays on the same Live series, has now finished tied for 6th or better in 4 of his last 5 majors. DeChambeau is accustomed to this. Rahm has been kind of out of that loop for a little while. And I think it was a reminder to him, hey, man, this is a lot of fun. When you're playing well at a major, and have a chance to win on Sunday, this is what it's all about. This is what gets the gears rolling for a professional athlete. It's not the big paycheck. It's the chance to hold that trophy. And I think it's a sign of maturity on his part that he was so forthcoming and so genuine at the end of the day. Like, man, this is great, and what he's not saying is you don't get a feeling like this when you're playing in Korea on the Live Tour. But I'm glad we didn't have that conversation. I'm glad there wasn't a whole lot of talk about Live guys versus PGA Tour guys. It was just who's going to try to catch Scotty Scheffler. And I thought that was refreshing to not have the Live conversation all week.
And, Scheffler, after a 37 on the outward 9, the tournament was still in play. He birdies 10 and kind of righted the ship. His maturity for a 28-year-old out there, he looks a little bit older. He acts a little bit older. But the maturity of his game is something that I think needs to be noticed. Whit, he just has, we don't always like the calm. We like the fist pumping. We like the celebration. But his calm throughout the storm, whenever it comes, seems to help his ability to right himself, and he did that yesterday on the backside.
Yeah, the word that I would use is unflappable. He just doesn't have – there's no sine wave with him. He's more of a steady, straight line, and that's what really, really good players do. There was a stat that Justin Ray published earlier this week, or yesterday rather, that Scotty Scheffler's bounce back rate at this PGA Championship, meaning making a par or better immediately after making a bogey or worse. I forgot the exact number, but it was the best of the entire field. He was bouncing back at a better rate than anybody else in the field. And you think about Tiger at his peak, when he won major championships, yeah, he can go out and shoot a 67 or a 65. Anybody who's got a PGA Tour card has the ability to go low. What the great ones do is turn bogeys into pars and not make the big mistake. They don't put sevens on the card, and they grind out pars when everybody else is struggling to get up and down. And that's what Scheffler is right now. Scheffler's the guy that doesn't make the big mistake, and the moment never seems too big for him. Now, that being said, he shot 65 on Saturday. That's what got him to where he was. He didn't have his A game the entire week, right? And yesterday, he wasn't great. He had been great on Saturday, so he had a cushion. And when it got to be, 5 or 6 strokes, he really built that lead on Saturday because he wasn't doing anything special on Sunday other than making pars out of bogeys. And that's kind of the level that he's at now at these majors. When everybody else is stumbling, he's not. And that's why he's winning.
Well, and we're talking golf with Whit Watson here on Miller and Moulton. It's nitpicking, but until this year, Scheffler had done all his winning between February and April, really, on the PGA Tour. Yeah, he had 2 majors. They were both the same major. The fact that he now, usually once the Masters had come and gone the last 3 years, Scheffler was no longer the number 1 golfer in the world anymore. Scheffler won by, 8 at the Nelson? Just won the PGA by 5? Okay, and now he's halfway to the career Grand Slam, and he's only 28, and you figure he's going to be the number 1 golfer in the world for the next 3, 4, 6 majors he plays in.
Yeah, and that's, I was doing the wrap-up show for Westwood One the last 5 days, and we're trying to find stats to put him in perspective, like the number of players that have won multiple major championships, multiple players championships, and a PGA championship. Jack Nicklaus, Tiger Woods, Scotty Scheffler. Okay, that's the category that he's in right now. The number of players that have won their first 3 majors by 3 shots or more. And the last person to do it was Seve Ballesteros. So that's the comparison we're in. And isn't it, to your point about when he wins and where he wins, I thought it was interesting that the golf course that Quail Hollow is most often compared to in terms of length and conditioning and look is Augusta National. So not that I'm saying I agree with that, but maybe there's a familiarity factor there for Scheffler. We don't know, is he going to be the guy that goes out and dominates British Opens? I don't know. The U.S. Open is going to be really interesting this summer now. I think he's the, I wouldn't say prohibitive favorite, but he is the favorite when they go to Oakmont, which is a really, really hard golf course. He's turned around his putting. That had been the one Achilles heel he might have had, would be a sometimes bulky or unreliable putter. That seems to have been figured out. So, yeah, it's not like, Rory McIlroy and Bryson DeChambeau are going to quit the game because of Scotty Scheffler. But he's the first guy you're going to look at all of these big events all the way through the rest of the year.
A lot was made because we found out earlier that Rory, his driver was non-conforming. We find out Scheffler's driver was not conforming. Scheffler and Schauffele both think everybody should be tested. Whit, why don't they test everybody, and do you think that will change soon?
That's a good question. I don't know why they don't test everybody. And this is the first time I had heard about players discovering that they had a non-conforming driver. This is kind of a new thing that popped up this week at the PGA Championship. And I'm sure the tour will adjust accordingly. They tend to be pretty good at that kind of thing. I wouldn't have a problem with testing everybody, other than how much time does that take? How much expense does that take? What sort of added layers of work, of labor are you adding now to the process of staging a golf tournament? 9 times out of 10, this is definitely the case with McIlroy, they don't know that the driver doesn't conform. They're just taking what the manufacturer hands them. In the case of McIlroy, he was not in love with the replacement driver that they put in. It just didn't have the same feel. And, these guys are very much feel players. But to answer the question, yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to testing. I don't know why the tour doesn't do it now, other than maybe they never felt there was a need. And now that rule could change.
Anybody that got your attention this week in which you're like, okay, I don't think they're far away. They're not there yet, but I don't think they're far away. We mentioned DeChambeau, we mentioned Rahm, Joaquin Niemann finally. He backdoored it. It was very much a Sergio, finish, but he backdoored his best major finish. Finau was sniffing around the bottom of the first page of the leaderboard for a good chunk of the weekend. I'm just curious, Homa had his 64, but then the other 3 rounds over par. I'm just curious, anyone else catch your attention?
Yeah, I don't know that there's anyone that I think is on the doorstep, but there were a number of guys who, for whatever reason, had career bests in majors this week. And it was like a large number. Like, we did a whole segment on this last night. JT Poston, Davis Riley, Jonathan Vegas. I mean, he's not a newcomer. He's 40, but that was his best finish at a major by a mile. I mean, this guy he's never made the cut at a British Open. I think his previous best at a major was like T30 or something like that at a PGA 11 years ago. Like, he was nowhere in majors and was contending, until the weekend. He was 1 or 2 over on the weekend. And again, those 2 guys I mentioned, JT Poston, Davis Riley, younger players that had career best by a pretty wide margin. And I think part of that is probably the golf course. It's a place where they all play in the regular season, so there's a little level of familiarity to it. It's not like you're going to Augusta National and the wow factor. But I thought that was kind of refreshing to see some names up there that you don't normally see at majors, and it made Sunday a little bit more interesting. I don't think anyone really thought Scheffler was going to cough it up, but it was kind of cool to see names of players that you don't normally see up there. And those stories get lost, right? Like, JT Poston just had the week of his life, and no one's going to talk about it because of what Scheffler did. But that's just something to watch for the rest of the season, is what kind of a confidence boost do those guys take from it.
Whit Watson, ESPN, NBC, Golf Channel, his Making the Cut golf show, iHeartRadio, by the way, the iHeartRadio app, you can listen. Whit Watson, Miller and Moulton.
For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to NolanAgency.com. That's 941-639-1122. or NolanAgency.com.
With summer approaching, time to take care of your own house. So stop into the Floor Meisters and see their huge in-stock selection of carpet. The Floor Meisters has 100 rolls to choose from, starting at $2.99 a square foot for carpet, pad, and installation. Come in and ask for Dave and have him show you the Dream Weaver Select. Many styles and colors to choose from to fit everyone's taste. Floormeisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard in Naples, right next to Costco, or go to the web, floormeisters.com.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. Mark Miller for Molly Maid. I've been a customer for over a year and cannot say enough good things about their service and communication. If you're a business owner, you can trust Molly Maid to do an exceptional job. Their expert team delivers tailored cleaning for whatever your needs, ensuring a pristine environment for clients and staff. Visit mollymaid.com/FT-Myers or call 239-418-0052. Molly Maid makes my home shine, and it will make your home or business shine too.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Evie, I think there's a little difference between saying the number one golfer is going to be favored in the next two majors and after two majors saying, is he going to win the Grand Slam this year? I mean, there's a lot of good players.
And Johnny Yo, I get it where you're coming from, but we never said that the LIV tour and inspiring ever in the same sentence. I don't know where you got that from.
No.
You know,
we've talked a lot more live golf than others. But I think you can look to a few other places than golf and their ties with the Saudis if you want to start casting blame.
You want to talk about the last 4 days?
I was just going to say.
I mean, if you're going to go after, you want to go crazy, I wouldn't go after Miller and Moulton. And Johnny Yo, I will tell you this. When the PGA Tour said that the Saudis were everything that you believe them to be, but the minute that the head of the PGA Tour announced that we're in negotiations with and we're working on a deal, okay, with these very same people, that's
I turned it off. That's me. I left it on. I'm sorry.
That's when, to me, the tour lost its moral standing also. I mean, they want their money. Don't kid yourself. They want their money. So. Listen, I don't like Scheffler because I hate people that are that boring, but his stats are Tiger from the early 2000s.
But up until, like David said, up until this week, he's not won past the Masters.
maybe Hilton, we had won the week after the Masters, but until this
outside
year,
of April, I guess.
right, he had not won a tournament after April 30th, I believe, until he won the Nelson and now this on the PGA Tour. He had won a couple of European events and what have you.
Got a long text from someone saying the Everblades attendance was not good this weekend. That they were very disappointed. I don't know.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Armando Velez in a little more than 15 minutes. Talk about those Florida Panthers that are not going anywhere. Thank you very much. At least not for another 2 weeks. As they try to make their third straight Stanley Cup final, and they're one series win away from doing so. And Mark, that's where I want to start this short segment. We've talked about it before, but it's now official. The Final Fours are set in both hoop and hockey. 1 versus 6 in the West in the NBA, 3 versus 4 in the East in the NBA. Now, I don't have it off the top of my head, but to add up the seedings and have it equal 7 in both conferences in the NBA, that's a pretty big number for the NBA. Furthermore, Mark, and there's a lot of people that don't like the league anymore, but there's a lot of people that love a new champion, a first-time champion, or somebody. Can we just have somebody new? I'm tired of the same old, same old. Mark, the Oklahoma City Thunder have never won a title. The franchise hasn't won a title since the 79 Sonics, if you want to count that. When's the last time the Minnesota Timberwolves won a title?
That'd be never.
Right. When's the last time they've been to the finals?
I think that's a never also, isn't it?
That is also a never, correct. Thunder, by the way, went once. The Big Three in Miami won their first title at OKC's expense in 5. I think you've heard that the Knicks haven't won a title since 1973. Yeah. How many of the Indiana Pacers won?
Zip, zilch, nada.
Right. How many times have they been to the finals?
Is it 1?
The Reggie Miller 2000 Pacers. I'm pretty sure that's it, off the top of my head. They finally got by the Knicks, couldn't get by the Bulls. All right. I mean, afterwards, had some good teams in the last 25 years, played the Heat in back-to-back years in the conference finals. I think the Pistons had to go through the Pacers early in, I think, 2004 when they won their championship. I think they beat Reggie and the guys in the conference finals. So if you don't count the Sonics title for the Oklahoma City Thunder, they ain't never won one. T-Wolves have never been, never mind won one. Pacers have never won one. Knicks haven't won in 52 years.
And right now, ABC is praying that the Knicks beat the Pacers. They don't really care on the other side. I'm guessing they would prefer Oklahoma City because they probably believe that Oklahoma City could go on a 4 or 5 year run and they would like their audience to get familiar with the team. But this really all is on, can the Knicks save the NBA's ratings? Because if we get Pacers, T-Wolves, David, it'll be their version of Panthers Hurricanes in the Eastern Conference Final.
I actually think ABC's rooting for the T-Wolves. I think they're rooting for Minneapolis, St. Paul as a market over Oklahoma City. I also think they think Anthony Edwards is 10 minutes away from being a star. Not just a great player, but a star. And then, Mark, you've got the NHL. Regular season, man, it's important because, you want the easier first round series. Mark, how many first place teams are in the Final Four?
I'd be 0.
You are correct, sir.
That would be 0.
Right. Vegas won their division. Los Angeles finished second in it. Yeah, third place Edmonton just beat them both. Winnipeg won their division. In fact, they had the most points in the league. Yeah, Dallas just beat them. Toronto won their division. Third place Florida just beat them. And Washington had the most points in the East. And second place Carolina just beat them. So that's what we have in our respective Final Fours. Now, you want to argue Oklahoma City, because they did lead the league in wins, and they did have home court in a best-of-7 second-round series against Denver. So if you want to say their regular season is proving, to be valuable here, okay.
But Cleveland lost 3 games at home against Indiana in their semifinal series. And the Knicks took 2 in Boston?
Yep. Games 1 and 2. So, interesting little thing we got going on this year. Your first place team in hockey, you don't even get out of your division. You don't even make it to the conference finals. All 4 of you. And by the way, you're a big boy in the NBA. I mean, do you know, Mark, if the Nuggets had won yesterday, that the Knicks would have home court advantage throughout the rest of the playoffs?
It's crazy.
Right?
Regular season meaning less and less. Basketball, it always meant more. But with load management and the way teams treat the regular season, it doesn't have the same meaning as it once did. I will say, speaking of hockey, just on the Leafs quickly, David. So they're 0-6 in Game 7 since 2018.
Right.
In that time, Austin Matthews, 3 assists, -4. Mitch Marner, 2 assists, -7. Nylander actually has scored 2 goals in Game 7s. He's -4. Tavares, 1 goal. He's -6. And in their last 5 Game 7s, the Leafs scored 1 goal in every single one of them.
Boy, it's going to be tough to blow that up, huh?
I mean, that right there shows you everything you need to tell you that it's time for a change in Toronto. This core 4 is not good enough.
Nope. They're all terrific players. It just didn't work together. And you could say it wasn't them, it was those around them. Yeah, it was. I mean, take a look at who they're matched up with. When they get into the big spots, who are they matched up with? They're matched up with either the other team's best players or the other team's best defensive line. And they don't do squat. So, yeah, it's on them.
And Alexander Barkov is one of the most underrated players in the sport right now. He just shuts guys down.
Yeah.
And I mean, they rolled lines and did it last night scoring. They were able to get scoring up and down the lineup. But Barkov and what he does defensively makes it so difficult on the other team's best line. He's that good. You know, they like to talk about other players on that team, but Barkov's the guy that makes them go. He really is. He's terrific on faceoffs. He shuts everybody's best line down and makes some of the smoothest, sneakiest little passes that you see.
Oh, and he's the Panthers captain. Huh. So a guy wearing the C coming through. Huh. Imagine that. Yeah.
But fortunately, he has other goals scoring around him because he doesn't have to score for them to be great.
By the way, regular season wins, we've got 1, 5, 8, and 10 left in the NBA playoffs. 1, 5, 8, and 10.
Whether you're chasing peak performance, reigniting intimacy, or simply want to feel your best, Game Day Men's Health creates customized game plans to optimize your health. Call 239-427-3441 for our Bonita Springs and Naples location to set up your free testosterone test and consultation. Mention Miller Moulton Radio Show for 10% off your service. Find your maximum self with Game Day Men's Health, Bonita Springs and Naples, Florida. Call 239-427-3441 today.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
With summer approaching, time to take care of your own house. So stop into the Floor Meisters and see their huge in-stock selection of carpet. The Floor Meisters has 100 rolls to choose from, starting at $2.99 a square foot for carpet, pad, and installation. Come in and ask for Dave and have him show you the Dream Weaver Select. Many styles and colors to choose from to fit everyone's taste. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard in Naples, right next to Costco, or go to the web, floormeisters.com.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine, no more snoring, no more tossing, no more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
This is Miller and Moulton.
So the 4 NBA teams left finished 1st, 5th, 8th, and 10th in the regular season. The 4 hockey teams left finished 5th, 9th, 10th, and 11th. Dallas finished the year the best of the regular season teams, and they lost their last 7 games of the regular season. Carolina entered the playoffs on a 3-game losing streak. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And by the way, Michael, because you're the smartest person in the chat room, the Pacers' last ABA title was 73. So it still proves the point that it's, been a really long time or never for all these teams. I got to admit, I don't understand how you can be a hockey fan and not like how the Florida Panthers play. What sport have you been watching for the last 20, 30, 40, 50 years? I mean, God, you guys have gotten soft, staggeringly soft. Oh, please, Canada Relief. Are you serious?
The elbows. So
I mean,
it's
I mean,
the
Canada
elbows.
Relief.
How long you been watching the game? If
I
you're asking
know.
Canadian Canada Relief, that's damn near embarrassing. It's the elbows. By the way, name the dirty play in last night's game by the Florida Panthers.
Yeah, name it.
Find me a dirty play in last night's game. Find me one. Now, I will say the referees called that like a game 7. That first period, there could have been, and I text you that. There probably should have been 2 Toronto power plays in the first.
Yes, there should have.
And then they called the too many men on the ice. And you're going,
Which they had to.
I know.
And unfortunately, they had to. And right, it was the only penalty of the game. Yeah, they were observers last night. They were like UN observers.
But that's how most of you want a game 7 called, for the record.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes until our bonus hour. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. David Sampson, Pat Kerwin, at the very least, on the show tomorrow. Armando Velez is kind enough to join us once again. The Mondo Man. He covers the Panthers, writing about them for the Hockey News, and he hosts the Locked On Panthers podcast. Follow Armando on X at MondoMan12, MANDOMAN, the number 12. Armando, it's David and Mark. Good morning. Thanks for doing this. So you got to keep on working, buddy.
Yeah, the work never stops, and thankfully it's in the situation where it comes to covering more games as opposed to off-season topics, as the Panthers have done it again. 3 straight trips to the Eastern Conference Final for them.
It's a dominance right now. The state of Florida, the Lightning doing it 3 years before that. Now the Panthers doing it 3 straight years to the Eastern Conference Final. I'm just curious. Talk to me as the Panthers fan and give me a little perspective of how the Panthers fan in South Florida is taking these playoffs. Because last night, it was more of a Toronto broadcast. It really was. And Florida's the dirty team. Is the Florida Panther fan starting to get annoyed with the national media at all?
I mean, I can only speak for myself, but for me, I just brush it off, and I'm just thinking, okay, it's a situation where, hey, whenever you win so much, people just want to see you go down. People talk about it with the Kansas City Chiefs, and same thing with the Big Three Miami Heat when they were winning their 2 championships in their 4-year stretch for them. So for me personally, I know that it comes with the territory of when you win. And for the Panthers, I mean, this team went 26 years without winning a single playoff series, and now they're in a different. They're in their golden age now with the amount of trades they make, bringing in Bill Zito, and then how aggressive he was with replacing the coach with Andrew Burnett, bringing in an experience like Paul Maurice, and it's just so many great things coming together. The Matthew Tkachuk trade, even being aggressive this year, because it's crazy because last year's trade deadline wasn't so aggressive. Last year's wasn't as aggressive as this year's, but the Panthers have found a way to make big moves and even make little small moves, and it's been very calculated on their part.
Well, Armando, you took me to where I wanted to go. I mean, we all thought heading into this season that the Panthers were as deep, if not deeper, than most everyone else. Did you think they needed Seth Jones and Brad Marchand at the deadline? Because I can't imagine this team in these playoffs, and especially last night, without Seth Jones and Brad Marchand.
Yeah, and this is a situation where you count your lucky stars with some LTIR room from Matthew Tkachuk's injury at the Four Nations. That opened up $9.5 million in cap space, so they didn't have to make as many aggressive moves when it came to bolstering up their lineup. Because I mean, when they lost Brandon Montour in free agency last year, that was a big hole to replace. Everyone was playing up a spot in the lineup. Dmitry Kulikov was playing from the third pair, going up to the second pair. And I mean, for the Panthers as well, I mean, eight of their top 9 guys for top scorers remain on the team, but you know, you still want a little bit of an added scoring punch and a guy who brings grit in a Brad Marchand as well, because I mean, it only helps the fact that the third line for the Panthers is already a line that has won a Stanley Cup. I mean, they were never going to re-sign Vladimir Tarasenko because it was going to be too much cash to commit to them from last year's run. But I mean, this is where for the Panthers, I mean, hey, they used the most out of their resources that they had at the time in February when they heard the news that Matthew Tkachuk is probably was going to miss the rest of the regular season. And let's not kid ourselves. Matthew Tkachuk is still playing a little bit hobbled throughout these playoffs. I don't feel that the lower body injury is necessarily healed, but Matthew Tkachuk at over 50% is better than no Matthew Tkachuk at all.
There's no doubt that it hasn't healed, because if you watch him skate, he's noticeably slower than normal. The cuts, the turns, all of those things, you can tell that he's not at 100%. But Barkov is. And I was just talking about him a moment ago. You know, because they're getting scoring up and down the roster, and Barkov obviously contributes offensively, it allows him to completely play his game. He's shutting down the top forwards. Yes, he's contributing offensively, but between faceoffs and what he's doing defensively, he's taking the best players in the game and he's taking them out of the game. And to me, he's something to watch every night, isn't he?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he's a Selke Trophy finalist again, and has a chance to win his third in the last three years. And I mean, let's not forget his running mate in Sam Reinhart on that same line. They are on the penalty kill together. And the thing is, the fact that the Panthers haven't had home ice throughout these playoffs at all, you're not getting the last change. So the Barkov line has not, for the most part, been matched up against the top scoring line for their opposition throughout these playoffs. And even then, they found a way to still win on the road. I mean, taking 2 from Tampa Bay and then taking games 5 and 7 against the Toronto Maple Leafs here after how games 1 and 2 looked. It didn't look very promising at first, but the Panthers really cleaned up the neutral zone in their rush defense. I mean, even at the end of the first period, you were starting to see some rush chances. I mean, they're coming from the Leafs bottom 6. But hey, it's better that it happens to those guys as opposed to the Matthews, the Nylanders of the world. So that's another thing. And also, when it comes to the offensive scoring punch, whenever you take one guy away, another guy ends up on the score sheet. Because I mean, there's something that hasn't been done in the Stanley Cup playoffs since 1993, and that is 17 different goal scorers for a single team. So that's 30 years running. That through the first 10 games that we hadn't seen almost almost 20 different goal scorers. And even last night, you look up the score sheet for the Panthers, 6 different goal scorers. So that's just incredible how they just continue to run in waves. I mean, Game 7, they had the first 20-plus shot attempts. I mean, the Leafs were having a difficult time clearing their end. The Panthers were just aggressive on their pinches. Voracek was continuing to go. They were getting crisp line changes, and it's just one after another for the Panthers.
Armando Velez writes about the Panthers for the Hockey News. He talks about the Panthers on his Locked On Panthers podcast. Follow Armando on X at MondoMan12. MondoMan12. All right, Carolina. We did this already. Similar teams not that long ago, 2 years ago, in fact. Now, it was a very good competitive series, but the Panthers won 4 one-goal games. Okay, it's the best, closest sweep any of us have ever seen. How much has changed in 2 years?
I mean, their core is still the same for what they have with having the Sebastian Ahos, the Seth Jarvis, Jordan Stahl, Jacob Slavin. Those guys are still around. But, I mean, credit to Carolina this year. Going into the offseason, they lost quite a few pieces in the Brett Pesce and Brady Shea to free agency. A lot of people viewed them as having this being their gap year. And, I mean, there's a promising goaltender outside of Freddie Anderson and Peter Kachekov, but when Freddie Anderson's on his game, he's actually one of the best out there. And the thing is, for Freddie Anderson, the issue for him has been his health. There've been multiple playoffs where he hasn't been able to suit up for the Carolina Hurricanes. And, yeah, you mentioned it. The closest sweep that you could probably ever see in Stanley Cup playoff history. Even Rod Brindamore spoke about it to the media after they lost in 4, saying we didn't get swept. And the thing is, the Carolina Hurricanes, the best way I could compare them to, as far as systemic success and how their game works in the Stanley Cup playoffs, is kind of, for other sports, I compare them to the San Antonio Spurs at their prime with Greg Popovich. Not a lot of household names, but it's guys that mesh well together, and it finds a way to win games. And also the St. Louis Cardinals in the late 2000s, early 2010s, when it's bunt first single, steal a base, sacrifice fly kind of thing. And that's what the Carolina Hurricanes do well as far as a heavy possession team. I mean, these are the 2 top possession-heavy teams that carry the puck in the O-zone. So that it's going to be interesting to see how the Panthers manage. I mean, they absolutely swarmed the Washington Capitals especially in Game 1 in their second-round series, where even though there weren't a lot of quality chances, the quantity ended up biting the Washington Capitals because, I mean, when you're even a goaltender, even facing shots from distance, you're moving your body, and sometimes you could overthink on certain shots, which what happened with Jacob Slavin's winner, that it was a shot from distance and it ended up going in the back of their net. So they can get shots, but it's a lot of shots galore for the Carolina Hurricanes on how they do it.
I thought Carolina would have matched up better with Toronto because I think that I think Carolina at the end of the day plays a similar style to Florida. The problem is that Florida is about 60 times tougher than Carolina. It just, and I like the way Carolina plays. They muck up the neutral zone. They kind of remind me of the Devils of a generation ago of what they can do in the neutral zone to slow a team down. But Florida, even in the Toronto series, losing games 1 and 2, they never quit applying the pressure on the forecheck, and they never quit taking the body. I don't know if Carolina physically can hold up to Florida on the back line. Do you think that's where Florida possesses the best advantage going into this series?
Yeah, and credit to the Carolina Hurricanes as well, because I mean they didn't give up a single power play goal against in the first series against the New Jersey Devils, and I mean they did the same thing with the Washington Capitals on how they disrupt them in the neutral zone. I mean it's going to be interesting how the Panthers skate through because they're one of the highest dump and chase teams in the entire for the remaining teams in the playoffs. I mean they use their edge work to get past the defense, and they're usually first on the pucks when the pucks do get to the end board. So it's going to be interesting to see how fast the defensemen for the Carolina Hurricanes get back. I mean, there's a lot of experience on that blue line with the likes of Brent Burns, 40 years old Brent Burns. And also they have a nice little prospect that came into the mix, and Alexander Nikishin, who played in KHL, just recently signed his contract, and he's one that they're very excited about. So even when other pieces have gone away for the Carolina Hurricanes, they've been able to replenish them with new pieces. And it goes without, I should mention also how well they were able to manage a possible PR nightmare with the trade of Mikko Rantanen in the middle of the season. They gave up Marty Necas, where he was having an outstanding start to the season. They traded him to Colorado for Mikko Rantanen and Jack Drury. And then they were still able to get 2 first-round picks out of it and a promising young stud in Logan Stankoven. On the cheap, they gained cap space and they gained draft capital, and they're going to the conference final. I mean, it's a program that's just knocking on the door, but hopefully for the Panthers, they're able to stop another one of these teams as the Panthers are continue to be the standard in the NHL.
Yeah, but Armando, I have a feeling they really could use Necas or the guy they sent to Dallas. Yeah, this round. Okay, they could get to where they got without him, but they really could use these guys if they want to take down the Panthers. Armando, safe travels. Thanks for doing this for us, and hopefully we can catch up midway through the series.
Absolutely. Thank you once again for having me.
Armando Velez writes about the Panthers for the Hockey News, talks about them on the Locked On Panthers podcast. Follow him on X, MandoMan12, M-A-N-D-O man, and the number 12.
I just have to ask our audience a question, because we get a lot of folks that come at the Panthers for being dirty. And I think they play right on the edge. I think there are a couple players that are borderline. Brad Marchand's always been known as one of the dirtiest players in the league. First off, find me the dirty play that the Florida Panthers committed last night. Outside of the high stick on the referee, show me the dirty play that the Florida Panthers made. Secondly, if you're a hockey fan, you really wouldn't trade whoever your team is, from general manager through equipment manager and everything in between. You wouldn't trade your team for the Florida Panthers right now? Really? I would.
Oh, my goodness.
I would. And Toronto would. Even Edmonton. Maybe the Dallas Stars wouldn't. Because that's a pretty damn complete hockey team as well.
They've made, 4 of the last 6 years they've made the conference finals. The last 3 years they've made the conference finals. Now, they've yet to make the finals since the pandemic season. It's the last time they were in the finals. But NBA, based on regular season wins, teams 1, 5, 8, and 10 are left in the playoffs. Mark, NHL, based on regular season point totals, teams 5, 9, 10, and 11 make up your conference finals. 5 being Dallas, and they ended the regular season losing 7 in a row.
I will say it'll be talked about again as we go on in the playoffs. The Panthers found the same loophole that everybody else has found, the long-term IR. They're playing by the rules, but the league needs to fix that rule. Miller and Moulton. Southwest Florida's scorching heat is on its way. Stay cool with Air Advantage. As a proud Ream Pro partner, Air Advantage delivers top-notch air conditioning solutions to keep you cool and comfortable. Right now, enjoy 18 months, no interest, no payments on qualifying systems. Call 433-4635 today for expert installation and unbeatable comfort all summer long. Online at myairadvantage.com. Air Advantage. Call today. 433-4635.
Wine glasses never fall over until you get a brand new rug.
Oh, no!
Ketchup bottles act normal till you're wearing a new shirt.
Oh, you kidding me?
And rocks slide peacefully on the road till the day you get a brand new windshield. Then they fly up off the road and attack without mercy. That's why new windshields from Glass Doctor come with our windshield protection plan. Unlimited repairs and 1 replacement for 12 months. Don't just fix it, protect it. Glass Doctor. A neighborly company.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Summer approaching, time to take care of your own house. So stop into the Floor Meisters and see their huge in-stock selection of carpet. The Floor Meisters has 100 rolls to choose from, starting at $2.99 a square foot for carpet, pad, and installation. Come in and ask for Dave and have him show you the Dream Weaver Select. Many styles and colors to choose from to fit everyone's taste. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard in Naples, right next to Costco, or go to the web, floormeisters.com.
We've got a text message for Dr. Dollar. I feel tired, sluggish, and just not myself. I'm gaining weight, my energy is low, and I've lost my drive. Could it be low testosterone?
Absolutely. Testosterone naturally declines over time, but you don't have to accept it. Low T can affect your energy, strength, mood, and focus. But here's the good news. Testosterone replacement therapy, TRT, can help restore your vitality and get you back to feeling your best. Imagine waking up strong, sharp, and energized, ready to take on the day like you used to. At Revitalize Clinic, we specialize in physician-guided, American-made TRT designed just for you.
Take control of your health today. Call Revitalize Clinic at 239-277-5770. Visit revitalizelounge.com or text Dr. Dollar directly at 239-980-2302. Feel like yourself again. Testosterone replacement therapy, because your best years aren't behind you, they're just getting started. Text Dr. Dollar now at 239-980-2302.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Canada Relief, I can't click on stuff during the show. What's the play?
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the bonus hour of Miller and Moulton on this Monday. Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. I think I've just stumbled upon what our poll question should have been. We're not going to do it because it's too late in the show and we won't get the vote totals that we want and all that. But a lot is being made of the Florida Panthers talking about how much pressure it is to play for the Toronto Maple Leafs. And Brad Marchand was eloquent last night after the game, going, basically, I grew up a Leafs fan, and this is unreal. And I could see why that basically, hey, you fans, you media, you ain't helping. And it makes me wonder, Mark, who else in sports is entering a negative situation right now? I mean, once a team gets out of it, it's real easy. Like the Knicks have seemingly worked their way out of what was a 20-plus year negative pressure hype situation. Leafs can't do it. Can't do it. Have not made a Stanley Cup final since they won it in 1967. Have made one conference final in 30 years. They can't handle it. I mean, do you think the Cowboys are going through a little something like that right now?
I would think that's the team. When you started talking, I was thinking of the Dallas Cowboys. Because a lot of you right now are probably going, what about the Dolphins? Well, I don't think the Dolphins have the media scrutiny that is even in the area code of the Cowboys and or the Leafs. So I think the Cowboys are a really good comparison. But the rest of the teams that you look at with, strong media scrutiny because of success or lack thereof, they've won their titles recently. They've had enough success to keep the media and the fans off of their back.
Now, what's interesting is the hockey team I root for is 30-plus year drought now. And the scrutiny and pressure is probably top 5 in the league. And yet it's not seen yet as a negative. It's getting there, though. It's getting there. But, I mean, do the Jets count? The
Jets do get a ton of media attention. They've never really had the success to deserve it, but they play in New York, so that's part of what goes with it.
Right. The Yankees, until last year, had gone 15 years without a World Series appearance. Now, they made the World Series last year. We all know what happened. But, I mean, this is an organization. Joe Girardi took him to Game 7 of the LCS. He had won a World Series as a manager. They fired him.
I don't know about a team, David, but I will tell you this. If the Yankees win their division again this year, and right now they're on top, leading by like 5 games. They're the only team above 500 in the AL East. You may have heard of this guy named Aaron Judge. In fact, we had David Laura on who called him the best player in baseball right now, including Ohtani. If Aaron Judge were to take the Yankees to another postseason and have a poor postseason, the scrutiny on Judge will become very, very hard. Not necessarily on the Yankees, and fairly or unfairly, but on their best player.
Well, isn't he like a slightly above 200 hitter so far during his career? And he turns 33 this year, so tough to consider him, quote unquote, young, if you know what I mean.
I mean, Didn't we say a lot of those same things about Bonds?
Sure did. Sure did until 0-2 with the Giants when he tore the cover off the ball and nearly won a World Series and should have. But, who else in sports right now? I mean, is it, and this is, they won during the pandemic, even though a lot of people make fun of it, did it really count? Blah, blah, blah. But, is this the Lakers? But it's 5 years. I mean, now
Luka will start to get it.
Yeah, he will. He will. But do you think the media and the fans are weighing down the Sixers? Their title's 83, only one appearance in the final since. I mean, I'm just curious because this is Brad Marchand's a Hall of Fame player. Brad Marchand's a leader of men. Okay, whether you like him or not, he is. Brad Marchand took to the podium last night and basically said, let me tell you, Leafs fans, all the media surrounding this team, you guys ain't helping. And what would have alarmed me if I was running the Leafs is I want to sign him. I want him to finish his career. Okay, with us. He said last night, I grew up a Leafs fan. Although I'll tell you what, he talked last night about a guy who isn't going to be playing much longer. He was very revealing last night. But I mean, Mark, is there another franchise in the Big Four sports in which you think their fan base and the media that covers them is hurting their cause?
No. And you brought up the Lakers. David, if you were to just take the last year of media about the Lakers, when's it been negative? Hell, the four-letter network was talking about how they were a contender all year long, despite the fact that most of us didn't think they were. I mean, the Lakers get incredibly positive media attention, and they're the most popular team in that sport in this country. Their media attention is largely positive. It's not negative. The Cowboys' media attention is just as positive as it is negative. And there's no reason for it to be. What people are now understanding, and I think if you watched the broadcast last night, how it was so Toronto focused, this is the most popular team in the country. So to put other teams in that same category, we are talking Yankees, Cowboys, Lakers. That's who you're talking about.
So I'm just, we hate to bring up examples of, quote, the teams we grew up rooting for, but it was very much a thing in the early 1990s about, you sure you want to take on what's going on in New York with the Rangers? And Messier said, absolutely. I want every bit of it. There were regimes who wouldn't talk about 1940, wouldn't talk about their drought. Messier and the veterans on that team talked about it openly. I mean, your Wings went what? 39, 50, no, 42, 43 years? 55 to what, 97? I mean, you guys went 42 years in Hockey Town, for goodness sakes. It was a thing. Yzerman, started to feel the pressure in the mid-90s. They won the President's Trophy and fired their coach and benched their goalie. I mean, it was a thing in Detroit.
No, you're right. I'm trying to think, is there a college program? Is Texas getting at that level? And we love our, but as you and I have talked about, the college football writer and the way that the coach handles the media, you can't get away with being that negative.
Well, I'll tell you what, Ohio State was there when they lost to Michigan. They were, because I don't think there's a college media that covers their team more pro-like, more objectively, and more brutally at times then Columbus, Ohio covers the Buckeyes. That can be as tough a college town from a media standpoint as there is. To me, that can be when USC underachieves in LA. The LA media turns on the Trojans. And when they lost to Michigan, Mark, okay, then they were going uphill entering the playoffs. They were fighting uphill for the media was against them. Their fans were, a minute away from totally turning on them.
Funny you bring up USC, though. The LA media has, but the national media doesn't attack them the way they would if it were a pro team with that type of popularity, if you know what I mean.
That's because they desperately want them to be good, because they bring ratings. They're the only team really west of the Mississippi that does.
So I do think they're a little bit on an island. Someone in the Twitch chat room brought up the Red Sox. Give it another month and you're on to something.
Well, but come on, you have 4 titles and
right.
Between 04 and 2018. I mean, when you begged for one, you got 4. I mean, how negative can it get? But you know what I'm talking about. It was that way in Boston. It was a real thing before 04. We had to put a group together that could handle it. It was incessantly negative. It was openly talked about. We had to hire general managers and managers who could handle it. Some of them couldn't. No, it was very much a real thing. And even though the Cubs drought was just as long, if not longer, it was treated by their fans and the media totally differently.
Totally differently. One was the lovable losers.
And the other was just losers. And I'm just curious, who in sports right now is dealing with what that hockey team is dealing with?
I don't think anyone. I think the closest team would be the Dallas Cowboys. And I don't even think I don't think the way in which they're treated is close, because there's way too much love and support for the Cowboys nationally, and the way they move the needle, they're still talked about in a positive light. Try to find someone in Canada today that's going to talk about the Leafs in a positive light after losing another Game 7. Miller and Moulton. American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to NolanAgency.com. That's 941-639-1122 or NolanAgency.com. Mark Miller for Molly Maid. I've been a customer for over a year and cannot say enough good things about their service and communication. If you're a business owner, you can trust Molly Maid to do an exceptional job. Their expert team delivers tailored cleaning for whatever your needs, ensuring a pristine environment for clients and staff. Visit mollymaid.com/FT-Myers or call 239-418-0052. Molly Maid makes my home shine, and it will make your home or business shine too.
With summer approaching, time to take care of your own house. So stop into the Floor Meisters and see their huge in-stock selection of carpet. The Floor Meisters has 100 rolls to choose from, starting at $2.99 a square foot for carpet, pad, and installation. Come in and ask for Dave and have him show you the Dream Weaver Select. Many styles and colors to choose from to fit everyone's taste. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard in Naples, right next to Costco, or go to the web, floormeisters.com.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Irish, I thought about that, but man, Notre Dame gets constantly propped up by the national media.
Yeah, there aren't a lot of negative Notre Dame stories out there.
Now their fans, that could be different. Okay, but not from the media.
I don't know. The biggest Notre Dame we have fan here, all he does is put knee pads on and tell us how great every single player who's ever. I mean, the guy that got drafted by this team, he's great. He's great. Their quarterback's great. He's great. And that's all I get from my Notre Dame people, too. It's all great.
Well, that's because they're, quote, back. But,
those aren't national brands, though, Canada Relief. I mean, the White Sox, come on.
Yeah. Did you see Marchand post game, or did you go to bed?
I went to bed.
So he comes on the TNT show, and his first answer, he says, "I'm not going to pile on Biz right now." And he very serious face. He goes, "Not going to do that," because they gave him the opportunity. He goes, "I'm not going to do it." So they get like 4 questions in, and the whole big thing with the Leafs is belief. They have belief. And so Biz asks him, "Hey, how'd you bounce back from game 6?" And he said, "Well, we just had a belief."
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. David Sampson, Pat Kerwin to join us on the show tomorrow. We didn't get into this. We mentioned it, but we didn't get into it. Do you like what the NFL is considering doing tomorrow? If you hadn't heard at the owners' meetings tomorrow, it's not just about are they going to outlaw the tush push, but apparently it's got some legs. We don't know if it's got enough legs, but it's got some legs that the owners are going to vote on the possibility of changing their playoff seeding. And the 4 division winners will not be seeded 1, 2, 3, and 4 based on their record, and the wild card teams being seeded 5, 6, and 7 based on their record. That they're going to seed you based on record, period. We will guarantee you a playoff spot for winning the division. But if you've got the worst record of the 7, you're going to be a 7. And then what I think's even further is they then want to reseed, which they do now, but they do now to give the 1 seed the easiest road. And anyway, so your thoughts on if the NFL does something that you and I never thought they were going to do?
All right. Help me out here, because I've seen it a couple of ways. I thought that part of what I saw with the reseeding is after the first round. So I don't know if they're still going to try to split the atom here. Give the division winner their first home game, but not their second.
My understanding is it's both.
So they will just flat out seed it 1 through 7.
And then after the first round, which they do now, the 1 seed gets the bye, 2, 7, 3, 6, 4, 5. If the 7 beats the 2, or the 7 loses and the 6 beats the 3, then, highest, lowest, I always get it confused. But anyway, the worst team by seeding, all right, plays the 1. The road is to give the 1 seed, that's the advantage. That's what they earned with the bye and being the best overall record. They get the easiest by seeding divisional playoff game they can get. So they already do that.
But now they would take away I guess, the Rams home game, right? Wasn't it the Rams Vikings?
Yeah. I mean, think about last year. We would have had to look it up, but I believe
Minnesota would have been 2, right?
well, they were
Or was
14
Philadelphia?
well, I thought Philly was 14-3 also, so we would have had to look up, and I'm trying to think, did they play last year? Okay, and I don't think they did. So we would have had to look up who had the better conference record between Philly and Minnesota. But at worst, instead of Minnesota being the 5, at worst, they would have been the 3 last year, and they might have been the 2.
I don't have a problem with it whatsoever. If you say you want to reward the regular season more, then the teams with the best records should be rewarded. I'm stunned by it, however. I guess just having Pat Kerwin on the show for the better part of 15 years, telling us how important winning the division and getting a home game for it meant to these owners, why they would discontinue it. But the league's evolving. It looks, let me ask you this, better chance of the seating changes or the tush push being banned?
The tush push.
You think he's got the votes?
No. Oh, no. You just asked me better chance. No, I think these both fail. But I can't even believe that there's enough support, Mark, that they're going to vote on this whole seating thing. I mean, we've had this before. I mean, the Saints were, defending Super Bowl champions and had to go play a 7-9 Seahawks team and got beat in the playoffs when the Saints had won like 11 or 12 games the year after they won the Super Bowl. And people were outraged. I'm okay with Seattle making the playoffs, but the fact that the Saints had to go on the road, that's an abomination. The NFL was laughing at the national people who said that. What changed? Seriously, Mark, did we miss something on this show? Okay, on the text line in the Twitch chat room? I mean, did this really honk people off last year that the 14-3 Vikings, were the 5 seed and not the 2 or the 3?
I do believe that there were football people out there that questioned it. Honked off? No. Questioned it? Yes.
For the record, last year, all right, and listen, Philly and the Vikings were both 14-3, and they both had the same conference record. So let's just give Philly the tiebreaker, okay? And who knows, maybe being a division champ will be part of the tiebreaker going forward. So Detroit the 1, Philly the 2, Minnesota the 3, Green Bay would have been the 4. And then Washington would have been the 4, Green Bay would have been the 5. And then both the Rams and Bucks were 10-7. Trying to think if they played in the regular season. I don't think they did. And the Bucks had a better conference record. So, Mark, instead of the Rams getting a home playoff game as the 4 seed, it looks like the Rams last year would have been the 7. And they would have gone to Philly?
Philadelphia, which they played Philly as tough as anybody. They might not have had to do it in the weather that they had to do it in.
So very quickly, it would have gone Detroit, Philly, Minnesota, Washington, Green Bay the 5, Tampa the 6, the Rams the 7. In the AFC, Chiefs the 1, Bills the 2, Ravens the 3, same as it was last year. Chargers would have been the 4 with 11 wins. And then Pittsburgh, Houston, and Denver all had 10 wins. I'm guessing we would have gone to conference record. Houston would have been the 5, Pittsburgh the 6, Denver the 7.
So not nearly the change in the AFC, but it would have been different.
It would have been.
I have no problem with it. If the regular season means that much, and it does in football maybe more than any other sport, rewarding teams with the best record. I'm fine with it going forward.
Okay.
Are you?
No. I think it will hurt the league.
Why?
Because it was a really big deal to the Houston Texans and Tampa Bay Bucks of the world to, hey, man, if we win our division, not only do we get in the playoffs, we get a home game. Okay. Now it's just like, we'll fit you in, but you got no shot. So no. And I got to be honest with you. I've never had a problem with the better record team who didn't win their division. You played in a tougher division. I don't know what to tell you, man. Sports, it's like life. It's not always fair. And Mark, I'm one of those. Yeah, sometimes the draw really helps. No doubt about it. But there's a part of me, Mark, that's also like, you know what? If you're going to win a championship, just line up and win.
Miller and Moulton. We'll discuss this with Pat Kerwin tomorrow on the show as we'll get knee-deep in the NFL. Obviously, the other thing that's going to happen at the owners' meetings is Raj is going to try to get the tush-push banned. And he didn't have the votes back in March. How much work has he done? How successful has he been in trying to get the tush-push banned now that they will take it to a vote this week? Miller and Moulton. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Today was a day when What's on Tap? That's next.
Honey, you want to come out? I haven't seen you since Glass Doctor installed our custom shower enclosure.
No thanks.
Well, you can't keep eating breakfast in the shower, and laminating your magazines is getting expensive. You remember we have guests coming over tonight, right?
Oh, I'm sure they'd love to see the shower.
It's our neighbors, and I highly doubt they want to be hanging out in our bathroom.
The shower's so good, you'll never want to leave. Visit glassdoctor.com today and schedule an appointment online.
Whether you're chasing peak performance, reigniting intimacy, or simply want to feel your best, Game Day Men's Health creates customized game plans to optimize your health. Call 239-427-3441 for our Bonita Springs and Naples location to set up your free testosterone test and consultation. Mention Miller Moulton Radio Show for 10% off your service. Find your maximum self with Game Day Men's Health, Bonita Springs and Naples, Florida. Call 239-427-3441 today.
With summer approaching, time to take care of your own house. So stop into the Floor Meisters and see their huge in-stock selection of carpet. The Floor Meisters has 100 rolls to choose from, starting at $2.99 a square foot for carpet, pad, and installation. Come in and ask for Dave and have him show you the Dream Weaver Select. Many styles and colors to choose from to fit everyone's taste. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard in Naples, right next to Costco, or go to the web, floormeisters.com.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine, no more snoring, no more tossing, no more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and
This
sound.
is Miller and Moulton.
You know, we missed two things today on the show that we probably could have brought up. One I knew nothing about that I read today, and that's what they did to the UFL over the weekend. There's 2 minutes left in the game that's on ABC. They switched it to ESPN2 to air the NBA's pregame show. And apparently in that final drive, they spike the ball, line up for a field goal, and instead of, or when they're going to fake spike to line up for the field goal, they fake spike and try to throw a pass and catch him off guard. He threw a pick. That's how the game ended. Pretty exciting ending. Didn't make TV. Well, it did, but on ESPN2. And we never did bring up how many people watch Caitlin and Angel Reese play.
I didn't see the ratings.
We won't be out till tomorrow or the next day. I just meant for our audience, if people Saturday were
right. That's true. By the way, talk about a total non-story. That man, the people running the WNBA need to have a coming to Jesus with their league. They need to sit down with these players and they got to go, listen, we're in the big leagues now. Okay. Things have got to change.
Warren Sharp thinks that the playoff seeding will pass. He makes an interesting point. It'll make week 18 more meaningful.
Okay.
His two reasons are it makes week 18 more meaningful, make it more likely top two seeds reach conference championship. And that would increase ratings. That's fair. So down a TikTok hole this weekend, and I caught, you've seen it. I didn't send it to you because I know you've seen it. But Rickles on the Tonight Show with Sinatra hosting. Can we just stop at the fact that Frank Sinatra was the guest host of the Tonight Show and just end it right there? Irish, they're going to win the Super Bowl. They're the best team that's ever played in the history of football. There's nobody better. They're going to win the division. They'll be the 1 seed. They will coast to the Super Bowl where they should win 35-0. Bo Nix will have a perfect passing day and will send him directly to the Hall of Fame. I can't believe they're not favored in 17 games. I'm shocked, as a matter of fact. I think so too, Deadstroke. I do too. It's done.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes until we're done on this Monday. David Sampson, Pat Kerwin, among those who will join us tomorrow on Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Would like to thank David Laurila, Whit Watson, Armando Velez for joining us on the show today. You miss any of the guests who joined us on the American Paint Supplies Hotline, your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. Well, that's where you go to millerandmoulton.com and download what you missed.
It's that time again, nearing the end, but not quite there yet. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
Today was a day when, brought to you by Game Day Men's Health. Locations in Bonita Springs and Naples. Call today. Their phone number is 239-427-3441. That's 427-3441. Or go online, GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Mention Miller and Moulton for an additional 10% off. I got a lot of stuff today, David. A lot of stuff. King Henry VIII took down wife number 2 today.
Can't believe you went there.
1536. I did it so you couldn't.
I can't believe you went there. Unbelievable. You're right. He did. And he took her down because he was moving on to wife number 3.
He charged her with adultery, incest, and treason, and she was beheaded.
And there was no evidence of any of the above, and he had her killed.
1898, the U.S. Congress passes the Private Mailing Card Act, allowing private publishers and printers to produce postcards, which have to be labeled private mailing cards until 1901, then known as souvenir cards. The Tigers were nearly banned from baseball today in 1912. If they would have continued their protest of Ty Cobb's suspension, AL president Ban Johnson said they would be banned from baseball.
Wow.
Right.
He went there. He went straight to, okay.
NBC was founded by RCA today in 1926. Today in 1935, the NFL adopts its annual college draft. Churchill and FDR plotted the landing that would become D-Day. It was scheduled for May 1, 1944. It was a little bit premature as bad weather becomes a factor. Much to the delight of Jackie O, it was today in 1962 that Marilyn Monroe sings Happy Birthday, Mr. President, to JFK at Madison Square Garden. Secretariat won the Preakness today in 73, the fastest Preakness race ever at 1:54. The Flyers shut out the Bruins and win the series 4-2 to become the first expansion franchise to win the Stanley Cup today in 1974. Obviously, they were in the league before that, but all original 6 teams had won until the Flyers won the Cup in 74. Smokey and the Bandit premiered today in 1977.
I loved the Smokey and the Bandit, the first 2 anyway. The second one was not the first, but I don't know. I just found
the first one's great. Jackie Gleason is so good. And Reynolds had to talk him into doing it. He didn't want to do the movie, and Reynolds talked him into it.
Go home and punch your mama right in the mouth. Why is that, Daddy? Because there's no way you came from my loins.
Today in 84, Gretzky scores twice. Edmonton defeats the Islanders 5-2. They would win in 5, the Oilers' first Stanley Cup title. The Spike Lee movie Do the Right Thing premiered today in 1989. Billy Ray Cyrus's debut album featuring Achy Breaky Heart was released today in 1992. Today in 1994, David's law degree ended when LA Law ended its run on television after 8 years with its final episode.
Man, a bunch of beautiful people who were well-dressed. Who cared what the cases were?
Glee premiered today in 2009. I only bring it up is that they did Don't Stop Believing, the Journey song. In that show, the Glee version ended up at number 4 on the charts, 5 spots higher than Journey's original. Today, Queen Elizabeth grants the titles of Duke and Duchess of Sussex to Prince Harry and Meghan Markle upon their marriage.
Happy 7th anniversary, you lovebirds. Be curious to see if, Chuck and Will's there, whether they, send out a post or whether they're just completely ignoring them.
Brooks Koepka wins the PGA today at Bethpage in 2019. And Xander Schauffele wins the PGA a year ago. Ho Chi Minh, Malcolm X, Pol Pot, Bill Fitch, Andre the Giant, Dusty Hill from ZZ Top, and Joey Ramone would have all celebrated birthdays today. Pete Townsend is 80, Grace Jones is 77, and Kevin Garnett is 39 years old. What did I miss, David?
Nothing.
I know I took away the Henry VIII from you. You
Well,
had
and
that circled.
Even went Harry and Meghan's anniversary, for goodness sakes. I got nothing. By the way, KG's only 39? Really? Wow. Remember, he played a long time because he came into the league straight out of high school. So I don't know. He just seems
Yeah,
older than that to me. Huh.
I'm sorry. Did I say 39?
Yeah.
You know why?
Why?
Because he's 49.
Okay. I was going to say, man, I thought he played till damn near 39.
That's my bad.
Okay.
Time to see life a little bit differently. Here's Mark Miller with the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
We go to Daytona Beach for the good, where a teacher told the students to come outside for what they thought would be a math lesson. They all got envelopes. It let them know that they were going to Disney. The teacher said the students earned the trip by reading 600 books and excelling in all of their classes. So the teacher gifted them with a trip to Disney World. That's pretty awesome, especially with what teachers make.
That's amazing.
For the bad, where the hell did we go? We go to Arizona, where a couple of moms tried to convince police that they left their kids in the parking lot while they went to use the restroom. But it was 11 at night, and they were both drinking at the bar. It started when one of the kids was running around the parking lot alone. Witnesses said they searched for the child's parents but couldn't find any other adults around. The child led the witnesses to the car where there were three more children, two of whom were in car seats. After police showed up, the two moms showed up 45 minutes later and said they were in the restroom at the bar across the street. Finally, the ugly. And that really should have been the ugly, but I liked this story more and wanted to end with it because this one we could all understand a little bit more. We go to Port Charlotte, where Anthony Izzo pulled into the Del Taco drive-thru around midnight, hoping to satisfy a little craving for some tacos. We've all been there. But the employees told him that they had already closed the restaurant and that they couldn't serve him. The kitchen had been shut down and the meat had been put away from the night. Moments later, employees heard loud popping noises, prompting one worker to call 911. She thought they were gunshots. They were not gunshots, but Izzo had a pipe wrench and he was trying to break the drive-thru window. Once he cracked it, he then drove home. Deputies tracked him to his home where he was arrested for criminal mischief, all for tacos. And that is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, Monday, May the 19th, here on Miller and Moulton.
Well, you and a taco run. I know. Remember, no hockey tonight. No hoop tonight.
You may have to talk to your family tonight.
You may have to watch a sitcom, a drama. Yeah, there are 12 baseball games. Rays and Marlins both playing. Marlins home for the Cubs. Rays home for the Astros. The nationally televised Monday night FS1 game, Cincinnati at Pittsburgh. No Paul Skeens because he pitched yesterday for the Pirates. By the way, when we were talking baseball earlier in the show, do you know your Tigers are fourth in baseball in runs scored? Come on.
Torkelson's killing the ball. I think he's second in the league in RBI right now. They're hitting up and down the lineup. It's ridiculous.
You have the second best run differential in baseball. By 3 runs, you're behind the Yankees. You guys have scored 253 runs in 47 games. That's over 5 runs a game.
With arguably the best starting pitching in the American League.
Yeah, you're second and third in baseball, I think, in terms of runs given up. And that's only because the Twins just had like 34 scoreless innings in a row. during this 13-game winning streak. They had an amazing run going. They had 3 straight shutouts and half another game with a shutout. But that's what I'm wondering about the Tigers, because I think the pitching, I think you guys can pitch all year. But are you guys really going to score over 5 runs a game all year?
Probably not. But I do think it gives the Tigers the opportunity to go get a bat at the deadline if anything happens to fall off. That's, they've created a little depth now in that organization. They could go out and get a bat if need be.
Oh, not only that, they're not really spending real money yet on outside of Javi Baez. I mean, there's not a ton of guys they're paying. They can afford to pick up some veterans in June and July and carry their salaries for the rest of the year, because you got to figure that place is going to be packed for the rest of the year, right?
I would hope so.
I mean, come on, you got the best record in baseball in mid-May. What the hell else is going on in the summer?
Not a damn thing. And obviously the Lions have taken that town over, but it's not like, people are, there's no basketball and hockey still going on to get in the way. I mean, the Tigers should own the entire summer. And you always talk about the Twins radio network. Tigers radio network throughout the state is fantastic.
Right. I mean, just saying. So I wanted to point that out. By the way, Tigers 17-5 at home too. When fans pay to go to the game and the team wins, fans like to come back. 17-5 at home are the Tigers. Tied for the best record in baseball at home.
They go to St. Louis for a series. They're actually pretty big dogs today. If you wanted to get the Tigers on the plus side, Cardinals are minus 160 for their game tonight. Mets and Red Sox in Boston.
Yeah, Phillies will be in first before the weekend. Phillies are going to Colorado. So Phillies are tied with the Mets in the loss column. They'll be in first soon.
Be curious. I think it will be tomorrow, David, that we'll get the weekend television ratings. And I will be curious to see how the 3:30 slot on Saturday did. The WNBA game between the Indiana Fever and the Chicago Sky. It was a blowout game, but Caitlin had a monster game. There was a flagrant foul that she committed against Angel Reese. That was more of the talk than what the outcome of the game was. But I didn't watch a play. Not a second. I had things going on Saturday. Curious how many people watched. I know it's going to, I'd bet anything it beats the Stars and Jets, the NHL game that was on the same network that night.
Well, here's my question. You think it beat the PGA? Third round of the PGA. Scheffler doesn't go crazy till like 5:30.
And DeChambeau was in it and leading at one point on Saturday.
He was at 5:30. DeChambeau was in the lead. But, there weren't a ton of birdies during that WNBA game. 7-8 under was leading the tournament. That's what I'm curious about. So how big of a Caitlin Clark phenomenon is it? Did it outrate the PGA on Saturday?
And just how badly were the ratings for the Preakness with the Derby winner Sovereignty not running? Terrific race. In fact, horse people are calling it one of the best Triple Crown races ever. It was that good.
By the way, how about our Kurt Becker? Remember the horse that he said, hey, this horse is going to finish in the money? It's the horse that finished second. Kurt Becker's on a roll.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. And he'll join us before the Belmont here now in a little less than 3 weeks' time. David Sampson on the show tomorrow. Pat Kerwin on the show tomorrow. Miss anything? Go to millerandmoulton.com to download anything you missed. We'll do it all again Tuesday, 6 a.m. Southwest Florida's scorching heat is on its way. Stay cool with Air Advantage. As a proud Rheem Pro partner, Air Advantage delivers top-notch air conditioning solutions to keep you cool and comfortable. Right now, enjoy 18 months, no interest, no payments on qualifying systems. Call 433-4635 today for expert installation and unbeatable comfort all summer long. Online at myaradvantage.com. Air Advantage. Call today, 433-4635. 4635.
Wine glasses never fall over until you get a brand new rug.
Oh, no!
Ketchup bottles act normal till you're wearing a new shirt.
Oh, you kidding me?
And rocks slide peacefully on the road till the day you get a brand new windshield. Then they fly up off the road and attack without mercy. That's why new windshields from Glass Doctor come with our windshield protection plan. Unlimited repairs and one replacement for 12 months. Don't just fix it, protect it. Glass Doctor, a neighborly company.
For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to NolanAgency.com. That's 941-639-1122 or NolanAgency.com. American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
We've got a text message for Dr. Dollar. I feel tired, sluggish, and just not myself. I'm gaining weight, my energy is low, and I've lost my drive. Could it be low testosterone?
Absolutely. Testosterone naturally declines over time, but you don't have to accept it. Low T can affect your energy, strength, mood, and focus. But here's the good news. Testosterone replacement therapy, TRT, can help restore your vitality and get you back to feeling your best. Imagine waking up strong, sharp, and energized, ready to take on the day like you used to. At Revitalize Clinic, we specialize in physician-guided, American-made TRT designed just for you.
Take control of your health today. Call Revitalize Clinic at 239-277-5770. Visit revitalizelounge.com or text Dr. Dollar directly at 239-980-2302. Feel like yourself again. Testosterone replacement therapy, because your best years aren't behind you, they're just getting started. Text Dr. Dollar now at 239-980-2302.
This is Miller and Moulton